free and the world has not been broken up into narrow domestic walls. Into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. A very warm welcome to the day 2 of BSides Noida 2021 Virtual Edition Conference sponsored by Synactive. I am Vanna, and on behalf of my whole team, I greet your gracious presence here as learners and wish you all a very happy Independence Day. Into narrow domestic As we all know already, BSides Security Conference is a community-driven framework for building events for and by information security community members. The goal is to expand the spectrum of conversation beyond just the traditional confines of space and time. So here are some insights to each of the session. Firstly, our guests will be giving their presentation and exploring the horizons of a topic they have chosen. Secondly, in the end, if time permits, we will take up questions from the live chat and guests will try to resolve the queries. And finally, after the session ends, a link will be pasted in the chat box which leads you to a Google form. It contains questions related to each of the sessions, which I assume you will be listening to very carefully. Answer them, and the top 3 people in each slot will be awarded some BSides Noida goodies. So without further ado, I take privilege to introduce our first guest for today, developer Steve. He's a senior dev advocate at SyncSec and also an advisor to the Berimal 3. The topic he has chosen is, I can hack your VSCode faster than you can say, what is that link for? We welcome you, sir. You may start your presentation.
Amazing, thank you. And what a great intro. Indeed, like as a developer from many, many years now, one of the things I love with communities like this is the open sharing, everyone learning, everyone on different levels, but sharing what they know between each other. So, so amazing to be here, and happy Independence Day to everyone as well, I might add. But yeah, thank you very much for joining the session. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to geeking out with you all. But I do have a disclaimer before I start. So it's right at the start. It even has an asterisk on it. But my disclaimer is I love tech jokes. So I have a whole lot of them. And I always love sharing these because, especially in times like this, it's important we keep smiling, we keep laughing, and again, like we keep learning with each other. So anyway, this joke is open source, so please feel free to share it around. But why did the vulnerability get tired? Because it ransomware. Please put all comments, emojis, face palms are accepted as well into the chat boxes, depending where you're watching. And we'll get to questions at the end, or have a look at a whole bunch of emojis and face palms. Anyway, hello, my name is Developer Steve. Funny story, that is actually part of my legal name. So Developer Steve is actually my middle name, one word too. So I got married a few years ago, and me and my wife decided to combine our last names and create a whole new last name. So Cooper plus Houchen became Kuchen. So Kuchen is my married name. And when I got my name legally changed, I thought, you know what? I've been an evangelist or an advocate for so many years now for companies like PayPal, Braintree, for Xero, for Telstra, for IBM, that I thought everyone just calls me Developer Steve whenever I'm at an event or just geeking out with folks, which is, well, that's pretty much most of the time, just like today. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make Developer Steve my middle name. Well, I'm going to see if I can make it my middle name. It turns out you can, so there you go, which is still weird because it's on my driver's license. So it was slightly unintentional, but here we are. Anyway, hello. So if I haven't met you before, I'm Developer Steve everywhere. I'm always happy for people to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, kind of all over the place. Mastodon, if anyone's using that, Polywork, everywhere. Anyway, happy to connect with folks. So please feel free, reach out. Always up for geeking out, always up for sharing new things, learning new things, because I mean, that's what the industry is kind of all about. So I've been like a coder for many, many years now, a developer. Back in the days of, for anyone that remembers it, and again, pop it in the chat if you do remember these days, but back in the days of QBasic, that's where I first learnt coding, which was an interesting time because we didn't have the open source communities and the amazing community conferences like we've got this weekend. there wasn't a lot of that sort of matured industry that we know today, where we've got open source libraries, dependencies, communities, groups of people building out platforms in whole new ways. And going through my developer origin story, as I like to think about it, over the years, like working on startups, tinkering on little side projects, it was always leveraging community projects or libraries or dependencies in so many different ways. And indeed, even in my digital agency days, building out campaign sites, I always used to like to think of digital agencies as like organized chaos. I loved it because I mean that's where well, it's a lot of pressure, yeah, but that's where you really thrive because you build out a project in next to no time, at next to no budget, and then the client wants some changes afterwards. Anyway, that's a whole other talk. But the point is, like over the years, I've been privileged enough to see the industry mature, and in particular, build out some amazing frameworks, some amazing libraries and dependencies that really help developers in their day-to-day life. So if you take the code on this screen, for example, instead of writing an entire, many pages of code or loads and loads of code just to handle that one function, I just npm install a thing, and now I can have very few lines of code, and I can build out this amazing application. From a developer's point of view, like one thing I always love to remind developers or even remind myself is when I build these applications out, I'm building them out with that end user in mind. Like I'm building out an amazing button that orders them food, that connects them to somebody, that connects them to the world, that brings them entertainment. Like I'm building that piece of functionality using that open source framework, using that open source library dependency to change their life, to change their day in some tiny little way. It's something I've always been really super mindful of over my developer origin story is just what else that functionality that I'm deploying, what else that brings in with it. Like a bit like that meme. I love that meme because quite often, and even sort of thinking back through dev origin story, when I have deployed a particular thing for a client, like quite often I'd have to go back and clean it up because I deployed something without understanding fundamentally what was hiding within it, what vulnerabilities were being surfaced. And if you think about an iceberg, the very top of the surface is your application code, is your code exposed to the public world. And of course, as we know, as security professionals, as developers, as industry people, really, or industry community, we're one big family. Um, the number of packages, open source packages, exponentially grows each year, which kind of makes sense because quite often you'll see that one library sometimes will split off into a dependency. Some of its functionality will split into a dependency, which will then get used across the entire ecosystem sometimes because that one piece of functionality that splits off as a dependency library then gets utilized across a multiple of different community types because, well, they might like the functionality or it just saves them time in their library. So we see this exponential growth across the holistic ecosystem year on year. And of course, no surprise, and as the security folks will know, like we see this bring with it vulnerabilities being surfaced year on year. And of course, if you think back to that holistic iceberg stack, like the one on the left, your application code or that app that's being deployed or that app that you're supporting is literally just the tip of the iceberg with the holistic stack that that application needs to go to fruition. So your application code is built on the next layer down, which is open source code. And we'll get to the last two sections in a moment. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the open source supply chain, and in particular, the security that is now becoming more apparent, more surfaced into, well, all over the world now. Everyone's really like, this is a really hot topic at the moment, in particular with governments around the world looking at how they can secure open source supply chains for business, which is a really important topic because again and again, we're seeing this compromised supply chain where one particular component can literally bring down an entire industry, an entire delivery method. And you think this now also affects everything from utilities, food production, like so many industries in so many different ways. And again, this goes back to that exponential growth across the holistic ecosystem. We've seen so many examples of this too, where like with Electron Native Notify, and you can see the timeline on the screen here, where a dependency was initially added to a library maliciously, let's say, which then got pulled into everyone's updates, everyone's upgrades, all those new installs. And 3 weeks later, when that one was fixed up 3 weeks later, a new dependency was published into that, which then had the flow-on effect through the holistic chain. And of course, we all have different stories about these type of scenarios. If you do have one, pop it into chat. We'll have a look after this. One thing we tend to find is across most of the ecosystems, so with like Maven Central, Ruby Gems, and NPM, it's the indirect libraries and repositories which are causing issues with vulnerabilities being surfaced in applications. So we don't see this holistically across the entire language ecosystem. So PHP, for example, and Python, we see a lot of direct dependencies, or sorry, direct libraries, which are the issue for vulnerabilities being surfaced across the stack. And I just want to point out too, a lot of these communities do really, really amazing work. I've been doing open source community work for so many years now. And quite often what we see is there's a time delay sometimes between the volunteers behind that community, or the people just contributing their time or contributing to the project. There's a time delay between the initial vulnerability being reported back to a library or a dependency or a platform. And then there's that time delay before the vulnerability can be surfaced more, investigated, identified, and a fix can go into place, and then a fix to be tested, and then a deployment to go ahead. So if you are using a particular open source component, or you're using work done from the open source world, please always remember to contribute back. I know you do, but I just like to point that out. One of the ways we do that at Sneak is through Am I live?
The frame is not
Yes.
set, Abhisar.
Okay. Okay. Hello again, everyone. You might have noticed I switched scenes. I mean, Murphy's Law. Eh?
Yes, go ahead. Frame is not so.
I think I'm live. Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm going to assume that I'm live, and I'm going to switch my scene back. There we go. Cool. No one's saying anything. I'm going to assume I'm live. I'm going to keep going. Anyway, welcome back. So one of the ways we work pretty close with open source communities at Sneak is through a program called Sneak Advisor, which is really cool because we work closely with some very broad range of open source communities to be able to help them identify threats as they appear, or vulnerabilities as they appear. But then also on the other side of that, if you're looking to use a particular package or a particular platform, this is a great way to do some due diligence and see the number of people maintaining the library, how frequently their upgrades come out or their updates come out, and how quickly they can turn around fixes, all that sort of stuff. So it's a great way to do some due diligence on the packages. But then the other side of that is we get to work closely with them and contribute back to a lot of those amazing repos. again, as developers, well, from developer standpoint, yeah, it's in my middle name. This is really cool because I can do some due diligence and then also be able to determine, what sort of support that particular community has behind it. Also, shout out to the security people in the room that are, well, everyone really, but in particular, those that are part of the vulnerability disclosure program for Node.js. We help run that program and keep everyone safe. In particular, like keeping those end users safe, keeping people's stacks safe, and keeping, well, the whole ecosystem safe as well. So if you are somebody that has contributed to it or are looking to contribute to it, thank you. And ultimately, like, as from security professionals' point of view, from developers' point of view, from the DevOps point of view, like this is all this is critical to keeping end users safe, keeping infrastructure safe, and, well, keeping the entire holistic ecosystem safe. But as we know, in a cloud native world, apps are way more than just code now, because you're able to deploy applications really super quickly onto infrastructure that scales as your application does. So if you take containerization, for example, Docker currently has 242 billion downloads to date, which is insanely huge. That is a lot of containers being downloaded, which kind of makes sense when you think like that exponential growth with that we see in open source communities and libraries. Like, a lot of those are growing because so many people are using them to build out those amazing experiences. Of course, as we've just been talking about, and this makes up the next part of our iceberg view, is a lot of those containers carry with them or are built from the same open source components that we know there are known vulnerabilities in. So it's no surprise that a lot of these Docker images are basically carrying the same vulnerabilities with them. In fact, the top 10 Docker base images on Docker Hub are carrying security vulnerabilities in them by default. Straight, like, year on year, we see the same thing again and again. The way to mitigate that, or the way to stop that from an infrastructure point of view, is to start with the most minimal base image and only add the bits in that you need for your particular application. So there's another way I like to think about this. Yes, there's a tech joke coming. With great containerization comes great responsibility. There's a few more of these, you'll spot them. The last part of our iceberg before we get into the fun bit, and I mean, we kind of slightly had some video fail already. My demos are totally going to work now, right? This one in particular. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. The last part of our iceberg is infrastructure as code, which from a development and deployment point of view is really cool because I can deploy things really, really quickly, really, really easily. But of course, as we all know, as the security professionals will know in particular, like the number one cloud vulnerability is misconfiguration. So just making sure you've got all those different permissions set right, those different things inside those configuration files, making sure that they're all set up in a nice and secure way, making sure root permissions, all those sort of things inside your configuration files are absolutely critical. You might be thinking, but wait, this is a talk about like development environments. Why did we just talk about all that? Because there's the fifth part of our iceberg, and this is where fun stuff gets really fun. Yes, development environments. This is where we're going. Needed to see the whole view before we got to the fun bits. So this bit, as a dev, this bit really scares me a lot. And we're going to get into why. In fact, I'm going to show you why. Hopefully it works. No, it'll work. So this one actually is kind of surprising and kind of not. So we've seen a few examples of this already this year. And if you think about it, a lot of the development environment tools now are built from these open source components we've just been talking about. So Homebrew, for example. Yes, I like Homebrew a lot. It's one of my favorite things. I'm running on OS X. Anyway, spoilers. Back in April, they literally had a security incident disclosure. This is on their blog. This is on the Homebrew blog. It was a disclosed vulnerability in the Brew core framework that actually, yes, just basically allowed a particular vulnerability to be injected as a dependency into some of the Brew repos. So already, like, we're starting to see this now these issues also creep into the development environments, which I was very shocked at first. but kind of sort of makes sense given that they're built using the same things that we see vulnerability surface in. So if we take VS Code, for example, and this is where things are going to get really interesting, 14 million monthly active users for VS Code, which makes sense. Like they're used everywhere now. Everyone uses it for so many different things, and it's very adaptable. It's one of the easiest tools to probably one of the easiest to pick up and start using. It has so many different VS Code extensions, like 25,000+ of them currently in the ecosystem. And all those extensions are basically built using the same open source componentry that we've also been talking about. So this is based on some research our security teams identified earlier in the year. In particular, there's 4 extensions that we've published some research around. So Latex Workshop 8.16.1, Open in Default Browser, which we're going to be looking at today, hopefully. 2.1.3. Now, Open in Default Browser, which is the GIF currently playing, and we're going to have a play with in a minute, had 500,000 downloads to date. So there's 500,000 people that potentially, hopefully, have updated to the latest version, which this is, I believe, is patched in, what we're going to be looking at. I'm using, in the demo we're about to do, I'm using the previous version, which still has this vulnerability in it. Instant Markdown, sorry, we're going to be using Instant Markdown. Why was I saying Open in Default Browser? Anyway, Instant Markdown 1.4.6. So I've got 1.4.5 installed. Actually, I have them all installed, but we're going to be looking at that one in particular, which had over 120,000 downloads today. And basically, it enables developers to pass Markdown in real time. So as you can see on the GIF there. And I swear this last one's real. I forget what it actually did, but there's a VS Code extension called Rainbow Fart. Yes, that's a thing. And there's some vulnerabilities inside the older versions of that one as well. Anyway, I have a full write-up, which you can all take a look at, but I'll give you the link at the end. There's a diagram, but I think given the time we've already delayed, let's just go to the demo. Yeah, let's do the demo thing. Woo. All right. So first thing I'm going to do, oops, I just fixed that back up. First thing I'm going to do, so there's 2 parts to this demo. The first part is, this is the attacker view. So this is the malicious view. I feel like I should be in my black hat hacker scene. This is the malicious view. And then now, remember I said that these really scared me a lot. So I thought about running this in my local environment, and I thought, that's probably not a good idea, because what we're about to do is a file traversal hack through VS Code on the attack machine. And I thought I may not want to do that in my local environment. And there's a really good video of my manager, Liren. Hi, Liren. Doing this for the first time on a sneak live stream not so long ago, where his password file was actually shown on the by our security researcher who discovered a lot of these, or who was demoing these. He pulled his Mac password file out and displayed it on the live stream. Now, I need to point out there, he has since changed his passwords. Anyway, that being said, I'm running this inside a VM. Yes, I'm running OSX inside OSX. This is a meta demo. Yes. Let me just make sure this is woken up. I think it's a bit stuck. Probably going to want me to, yeah, okay. It's going to want me to log in again. I knew it was going to do that. That was intentional, slightly. Anyway, so on the attack machine, I've got an index.php file. I've got a track.php file, and that index.html, I'm not doing anything with that. That was just the template that I got some of this set up in. So the index.php, what it's going to do is leverage one of the VS Code plugins, the Markdown plugin, to basically do a file traversal on the target user's machine. And it's going to grab a file and return it out, but it's actually going to send it back to track.php, where we will save it as a text file using, well, it's just going to set a file using using time in PHP. So what that looks like here, we're actually going to get a target file. So kind of like a capture the flag. I thought this is a nicer way to do it. So on this machine, on our target machine here, in my root directory, I've got a file called passwords. So if I do no, we won't do that. We'll do cat passwords. And inside that file, I've got OMG, I got rickrolled. We'll find out why that's going to be funny in a moment. So what it's going to do is basically open up, we're going to send the user a link, and there's some ways to do that through, let's say a social engineering hack, for example, where we're going to send the target machine, the developer machine, we're going to send them a link. They'll click the link, and using ngrok on this machine, it's then going to scan for that file using the exploit and post it back. So at the bottom of the file, I'm doing a fetch on my ngrok URL, and it's going to send some form data back with that file in it. And while that's just a CTF style file, you could do this with any file, which is how I've basically seen it done. Anyway, I'm going to start up my ngrok like so, and then I'm going to start up my PHP server like, yeah, that's started like so. Now I'm going to switch to my target machine. So as you can see here, I have VSCode running. I'm using a Markdown, I'm using the Markdown extension, which is the vulnerable version. So it's the previous version to the current live one. And it just does Markdown inside the browser. So you can see there, that's pulling straight in. Yeah, it always goes blank for a second and then it renders it. Let me change, there we go. So I can do, this is Markdown, and it's going to keep doing, yep, just like that. And then, wait, I heard a bling. Did someone message me?
Yes, can you please zoom in the font?
I can't make it bigger. Yes. Hang on. Yeah, it's kind of running inside the VM window. Let me see. How's that?
Great.
Okay, cool. Let me make this one a bit bigger. So yeah, just does some basic Markdown. Oh, I did have a link saved in here, and now it's gone. Oh, there it is. So what we're going to do now is this is the attack. This is the target machine. This is the developer machine. So if I was going to basically get a link to the developer, to the dev, to say, hey, this link's really funny. You need to check this link out. It's worth looking at. When they click that particular link, it's then, oh, look, I've been rickrolled. Oh, what's this file it's downloaded? Now, you'll also notice, or you may not be able to see it, but what it's actually doing is opening up a whole bunch of iframes inside the same window. And as it does that, it's basically scanning for particular file types. So if I was to inspect element here, I'd actually see all the network requests of it looking for that passwords file. And again, this can be done with any file you want, basically. But what it's actually done, oh, it didn't trigger. Hang on, let me refresh this window. This does work. So you can see it's downloading this file here, which is part of the attack. Hey, there we go. And you can see now back in, oh, you may not be able to see it, but back in my VS Code exploit on my attacker machine, I can see this text file sitting there. So, and this is the text file which has been sent from that link that I had running in, well, on the developer machine. And if I open that, I can see the data from that passwords file, which has just been dragged in. It's basically been sent over from the target machine over back to my attacking machine. And it worked. Woo. So the code for this, I'll drop the link into the chat after. There's a really good write-up which talks through all the 4 plugins we're talking about there. I just wanted to show, oh yeah, I'll make this code available because the original one didn't have "you've been rickrolled" in it, which I found fun because, well, everyone loves a good rickrolling at a conference. The only other one that's going to show is we have these other demos too, if anyone's keen to play with them. So these are exploit demos. These are sitting on the Sneak GitHub. I'm not going to go through them in full detail, but there's, these have a whole bunch of fun exploits that you can play with. Again, going back to the open source vulnerabilities we're talking about, these have a lot of them in it, including one of the vulnerabilities discovered in a Markdown library, which it basically gets around some sanitization. So that, for example, yeah, we go there. It'll do a JavaScript attack inside browser, but there's a whole folder full of exploits that you can play with. You can try for yourself at home. We also have some fun toys in Java if anyone's keen to take those for a spin. Again, these come with like all these fun exploits that you can try for yourself. I think that was all the demos. I've got a bunch of other demos, but we'll skip back to the slides. Anyway, yay, that actually worked. So again, I'll drop the link into the chat after this, but we do have a full write-up on how it works, and then also how you can try it yourself. There's a few already been discovered, but again, like this is because a lot of these extensions are built using those open source libraries and dependencies and frameworks. Like they're carrying the vulnerabilities now into the development environment. So just going to go through some takeaways. Please be aware of what you're installing in your dev environment. No more can you do that whole brew install thing, or npm install that thing. Like, just know what you're installing, do some due diligence, take a moment, because it's potentially surfacing known vulnerabilities into your development environments. And like that's from a developer's point of view, that's where we do all the magic. That's where we build all the amazing apps for folks who want to make sure that very first step is like kept nice and safe and clean. And then, of course, always be scanning source code containers and infrastructure to make sure everything's kept nice and clean. And we're protecting those end users at the end of the day, and making sure their data is kept safe, making sure their experiences are kept safe. And also from the infrastructure point of view, like I've been there where you get that bill at the end of the month, someone comes up and goes, hey, why is it so expensive? Make sure you're scanning that infrastructure too, because that is as critical as the aforementioned other two. Just wanted to do a quick shout out for SneakCon that's coming up. It's free to attend, it's region friendly, it's early October. Again, tickets are free. There's some great talks from people over the world, including some of the Sneak people behind Sneak Code, which has some amazing machine learning stuff in there. We're actually, spoilers, we were supposed to, just about to launch PHP scanning inside Sneak Code any day now. I am literally waiting for it to get launched, which is going to be really interesting because I've seen the numbers for it and there's some interesting stuff in there. Anyway, totally worth checking that out because this is going to be some great talks. Also, the DevSecOn Leadership Awards are open now. So this is a great way to recognize anyone doing some really cool work in the DevOps space, be it an individual, maybe running training courses, a community, get those nominations in. This is open right now. And just finally, please, as always, use your tech superpowers for good, and always remember to be excellent to each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Steve, for enlightening us with your words. If at all there are any questions, let me just see it in the live chat.
Also, yay, my demo worked. Thank you.
It did, yes. Backend team, can you please look at if we have any questions? Okay, so there are no questions as such. So thank you, Mr. Steve, for enlightening us with your words. There were moments we bursted out in laughter. What a pleasing personality you are. And I'm sure the viewers must have added a lot to their knowledge after this session. I would request everyone to try and attempt the giveaway questions. The link has been pasted in the chat box already. The exciting prize for this one will be 3 pair of stickers. So stay tuned for more. Thank you again, Steve, for being here with us, giving time. Thank you.
we start presenting? Shall I make my camera open itself or?
Just keep your.
Yeah, I'm good. You can start. Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope we are all. The trains must have. Now it's visible. Welcome back, everyone. I hope we all are learning a lot from the experts in the field, but this is just the start of the event, and we are not done yet. We have a lot of exciting giveaways ahead in this marathon. The second guest for today is Mr. Sanjeev Multani. He's a cybersecurity consultant at EY India. The topic he will be exploring today is Genesis of Remote Code Execution. We welcome you, sir. You may please start your presentation.
I'm so sorry I was mute. Yeah, I'm audible now, Vandana?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining in this beautiful summer. Happy Independence Day, first of all. And it's great that we are connected on such a occasional day. So today, first of all, thanks to BSides Noida for inviting me for multiple topics, and there were multiple suggestions for the topics which was coming in. And I once again I choose one of my favorite topic, the remote code execution, the buffer overflow. So just before starting, I just want to tell everyone that Namaste ji. I hope you are all doing good in this pandemic time and all of the thing. I hope you are not in the COVID wave and all of the thing, and I hope there's no wave 3 again. And session which I'll be taking, this will not be for the beginner level, I can say. I'll try to make it as beginner as I can. But again, for understanding this particular session, you need to understand how exploit works, how exploitation works, and people should know that how the things works actually. And there should be some terminologies which should be familiar to people. And I can add up Hindi too if some people is having trouble with English that. For exploitation part ke liye, I believe that everyone should have a proper knowledge and understanding that how exploitation works and what are the types of exploitation we are having, whether it's manual, arbitrary code execution, remote code execution, or any kind of exploitation of privilege escalation, you can say, further the privilege escalation of memory corruption. And basis that, then you will be properly able to understand why and how we are going ahead with this topic. So I'm so sorry if you're not able to understand this, but yeah, you can always DM me on my Instagram, LinkedIn, and all of the stages. So I am just starting with, so first of all, namaste, good afternoon, hola, ciao, assalamu alaikum, sat sri akal. And my name is Sanjeev Multani. Who I am basically a cybersecurity consultant and an Indian cybersecurity researcher. I've been working with one of the big four, that is E&Y, Ernst & Young. And past E&Y, I was working with Lucidius as a lead trainer and as a security analyst also. And I'm a 360-degree BAPT guy. That means I'm a cross-platform guy. I do BAPTs, and that's vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, and you can say multiple assessments or audits on mobile applications, Android, iOS, thick clients, EXEs, web applications, network applications, Active Directories, and a lot of stuff. But the most amazing thing which I feel because I'm not more of a bug bounty guy, you can say, because web is having a common practice. I mean, everyone knows what is XSS. But the thing which excites me, which gives me a kick or something like that, that's getting out our own CVEs and getting out our own experts. So before starting with remote code execution, and I'll come to what is remote code execution again. But for the bug bounty hunters and for the professional hunters we are having right now, I just have one single question, one simple question itself. So for the bug bounty hunters, I know that you must be having a good bounty on SQL injection, on XSS, CSRF, and IDOR, and multiple bugs again. So you can just do HTML parameter pollution attack. But that HTML parameter pollution attack doesn't give you that much of bounty. I mean, you get me, right? So I just want to have like one answer from you people, that what is the most, I mean, the most bountiful, or I can say the most profitable attack which you can get, and after getting it out, you get the bounty of the millennium. You can say it's something like the bounty, which is the maximum bounty which is coming up. And I'm not even kidding right now. You can just go to Bugcrowd. You can just go check Microsoft right now. You can check any other platform, Google RBDP, multiple RBDPs program are over there, and you can just check on HackerOne right now. What is the most expensive kind of a bounty which is coming up, and what is the most, and this basically leads with multiple vulnerabilities. Multiple vulnerability leads to the same attack which I'm talking about. But what is the most top priority, like, and which I always check? Like, I do assessments for a lot of organization right now. I do VAPT for most of government organization. Majorly they are life insurance companies and the banking sectors. I'm into BFSI sector, banking, finance, and insurance industry. So I do VAPT for them. So what is the first thing which I found? Because in banking and every industry, the PI data is most at the risk. PI data is personal information index. It's something like for example, you go to Paytm. I'm not saying Paytm is my client, but I'm just giving an example. So for example, I just say Paytm. So Paytm must be having your Aadhaar card, your PAN card, or they must be having your debit card or credit card, and the CVV itself and the expiry date itself. They must be having your account number also, because when you transfer the funds to your account, they must be having your account number. So these are PII data. So to you can say secure this data, the first like you can say job of mine is that I need to understand that how the infrastructure is secure, where these data, PII data, and these credit card details are stored. You can say. So what is the first kind of, you can say, the most top priority attack which I always try, and for bug bounty hunters you can always try and all of those things. So I guess you already guessed it right. It's one of my topic. So that is remote code execution. Even Mitre is just like NVD and NIST. NIST is a NPO based in US. Same like that, Mitre is one of an NPO based in US, which maintains a database of CVEs, the attacks. CVEs are basically common vulnerability enumeration IDs, basically, which gives you a ID to a particular vulnerability. Well, let's say there is a movie which got released. So who's maintaining that index of a movie? That is IMDb. Just like that, there is a vulnerability which came out in Microsoft Edge, for example. Who is maintaining that vulnerability? The Mitre and NIST, they both are maintaining these particular vulnerabilities counts. So according to Mitre also, this vulnerability is on the top. Like, they are coming at the top, and you can see some keywords like memory buffer and all of the thing again. So the most profitable vulnerability is basically remote code execution. And RC is basically one of the most, like you can say, most juicy kind of attack, very attractive exploit, which every other person goes ahead. This exploit came existence, I guess, since Microsoft XP times, and it doesn't matter because RC doesn't work on any operating system. It works on a service. Every attack works on a service. When you say that you are doing an HTML parameter pollution attack, you are attacking a service that is HTTP service again, or it can be any other service. So HTTPS service or any other service. So when you talk about that, attack works on a service. And when I talk about RCE is basically a kind of an attack where you can exploit a particular operating system without even touching it. So you must have heard about that anyone can hack your iPhone. Like if I say, can you hack my iPhone? Yeah, you can hack my iPhone, but not with Pegasus I'm talking about, but you have to do some manual intervention in my phone. You have to take access of my phone, and then you have to install a package or something like that. Any IPA package, just for example. If you say that can a Android can be hacked? Yeah, Android can be hacked too. For Android, you just need to, like, you can install any APK, any malicious APK, and then Android can be hacked. But what kind of RC is what kind of attack is that without even touching a mobile phone, without even touching any laptop or any server, you can just basically, okay, so you can just basically get access of a device in a remote manner. Remote manner as in you can just get a shell of a computer screen or a computer operating system, or it can be any device. It doesn't matter it's a laptop or a mobile phone. It can be a router too. It can be a IoT device too. My Alexa too, which is working over here. So it can be anything again. So when I talk about RCE, the first question which is coming to people, and I'll come to this point again, how they are created, kernel exploit, buffer overflow. These are different topics. But when I talk about RCE, the first thing which I have in my mind is, what the hell is RCE? Like, I mean, yeah, we have heard about the Genesis word earlier and the Terminator Genesis, the movie. But let's understand what is an exploit and all of the thing. Vandana, can you see my screen right now? Is my screen visible clearly?
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just using a cute kind of operating system. I guess you all know that. And that OS is Kali Linux. So here is my Kali Linux, which is working. And yeah, just give me 1 sec. My Mac is heating up like a rocket. Okay, so I just by doing some stuff in my Kali Linux, and I'm so sorry. Like, to be honest, I was not having much time to get multiple OS to get attacked and all of those things. So for that, okay, just let me just remove this out. It will take time. My Mac is getting a bit slow. Yeah. So I have a kind of operating system which is running in my network. So first of all, I need to understand that what are the operating systems which are running on my network and what kind of OS I am having. So I can use multiple tools, like you can use Nmap for getting a complete services details and all other things. So I know one of our IP which is working, and the system is just on my left table, and this IP address is I'm just checking out, and I'll not be getting into depth of like how can you find the IP address. That's what I was saying, that this session is for a little bit advanced for beginners again. So you can just get the IP addresses out. I'm just pinging to check that whether this IP is working or not. 1.3, if I'm not wrong, yeah. So this IP is working perfectly fine. So if I just want to check that what IP is this, so for checking this out, I can just nmap and just find out the list of services, or you can say or list of commands. I'm just doing a normal nmap, just it. So that I can just get the services out.
Sir, can you please increase the font?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir.
Come on, the simple nmap is taking time. Okay, so just like what I was saying is that whatever attack you do on a service. You will need to find out the services which are running on any port number, and this is not mandated that these services are the only services which are running on TCP. These services can be on UDP also. For UDP, you just have to change a command to nmap-su so that you can just find out the services. So I know that, okay, I am having multiple list of port numbers, and I know that there are some particular, you can say port numbers and some services running on. So when I talk about this, how I can find out a particular attack or a vulnerability is working on this particular machine, I can do nmap-fn script just like that. And if you want to just don't want to do a ping probe, or you can just remove the ping packets, you can just ICMP packets, you can just do -pn, and you can just put a one is basically a combination of multiple vulnerability Lua scripts, which is in nmap, and then you can just put an IP address back again. So when you do that, and when you hit enter, you will get all the vulnerabilities which is coming out in this particular, you can say, this IP address. You will find out all the vulnerabilities over there. But the point is that I don't want to, I mean, like just do that. You can also do that. I know what is the attack which is working. So we can use multiple things again. But let's get into a bit of basics, because this will help you out when you do exploitation. So when you talk about you hack a machine, and when you exploit or whatever you do again, like in that case, what actually you do? So you basically do a socket connection, and you need to understand what is a socket and what's a socket connection again. I'm just going a little bit of basics. So when you talk about a socket is basically IP and a port number. And when you have a combination of this IP and port number, this is a socket. Now every device is having IP and a port. IP address is a, like you can say, it's an address logic logical address where the machine is running on the internet, and port number is that particular entity which is running a services again. So what we have to do is we need to connect to IP and port number, and we need to make a socket connection between both. So what we have to do is we need to basically get a connection between these two. So for doing this, either we can use Python script. Python scripting is the most, like you can say, feasible one in this connection, like socket scripting again. And why I'm telling you this thing, because when we do the Genesis partner, the you can say manual exploitation, manual RC, you will get to know that what are we doing over here. So when you have this IP colon port number, this is basically a socket. Now for this socket over here, we need to connect, either we can do a Python manual scripting, and we need to understand how to make our own exploit. So that can be done, that is manual attacking again. I'll come back to it in another 15-20 minutes. But just to understand how a RC works, so I'm just using, like, let me just initialize the database. So I'm using a tool over here. It's a very common tool, which we all know, and this tool is known as MSF console. MSF is Metasploit framework, and this is created by Rapid 7, and one of the initial creator of MSF is HD Moore, and that is the guy of which will be using the exploit. So we'll be using the exploit which is created by HD Moore, and he was one of the initial developers of Metasploit framework again. It's taking a bit of a time. No worries. In case we need to extend the session, I'll see what I can do. Okay, coming back to the topic. So what we are going to do is, with MSF console, basically, we are going to use a particular automated socket connection script, you can say. So whenever we say socket connection script, that is basically known as an exploit. So exploit is basically exploit by which we attack into a machine and then we do some stuff. Come on, but it's lagging. The machine is getting heated up. Sorry?
We can wait, sir.
Sure. I think it's time to change the machine now. So for RCE cheat sheet, if you want to, so there are two things again. One thing, if you want to understand and learn how to perform the RCE part, there are again two parts to it. One is automated. Automated you can do from exploit DB. You can get exploits from search exploit. Like you can use search exploit anytime, and you can find out the RCs which are present over here. Search exploit is a already automated tool which is present in your Kali Linux, and you can just find, like, let's say any application you have, like I say Microsoft, for example. So for Microsoft, this will give me a list of exploits which are present on exploit.db and package.storm. So there are two particular domains where you can find a list of exploits again, just like you can see over here. I just stop it out because Microsoft is a very cute kind of operating system, you know. So we have a lot of exploits for this. So again, and for learning purposes, so for learning, I'll say that if you do a Metasploit and you do a attack, and just like what I'm doing right now, this is just a noob thing again. This is, you can just learn these things by a YouTube video and you can just do that. If you really want to understand how a RCE works and getting a, you can say, a source resources for RCE, you need to understand how buffer overflow works first, because buffer overflow is a creation of RCE. When you talk about remote code execution is automated. Just like what I'm doing, this is an automated process, and I'll do that in just, I can say, 5 minutes. But when you talk about remote code, the buffer overflow remote code execution, which is the manual one, it literally took me 3 years to understand how these things work. You need to understand Python, you need to understand assembly language. You must have a good hand in assembly language and Python, both of these. And then you have to understand the kernel and the registers and all of the things. So it depends on you again, like what kind of person you want to become. I chose the hard way out, like for learning buffer overflows and all of the things. That's why some people call me Mr. Buffer Overflow. But again, yeah, you can say that you can just learn out these things, and if you want to, like you can say learn out buffer overflow. I'll give you a kind of link which can be a very typical, but you need to understand Python and assembly first. So I'll give you a link which you can refer, and then you can learn. So we have MSF running right now, and this is Metasploit for, framework version 6, and this is just a banner. Don't get like irritated what actually is happening. So over here, I just need to understand what kind of exploit is running out. So if you remember that we were having a particular OS running and with these services again. And if you talk to me, like what are these services? These are a particular, and you can see these are the port number which are running on TCP, and these are some services which are running, like Microsoft service, Microsoft running service. 445 is basically SMB, 139 is also SMB. There are two ports which are used for SMB, and that's what we are going to exploit right now. SMB is basically a, like you can say, Samba service which is used for file sharing in Microsoft. So which Microsoft uses for file sharing part. So I'll come to that part later. But let's understand what a RCE is so that you can get an idea. So I have a Microsoft XP with me on the left side of the table. I'm not touching that particular machine. I'm not even doing anything. I just have this particular machine with me. This is which is Mac OS, and I have a Kali Linux in it. So what I do is I just search a particular exploit. You can find out this exploit by that vulnerable command, which I just showed you. This command, okay, -fn script vuln. You can also like find out this particular exploit with that. But yeah, this particular command. You can just use this command, and you can just find out the vulnerabilities which are present on a particular IP address. But what I'm doing right now is I'm not spending much time on that because I have to understand the menu again. So I'm just using the attack right away. So the attack, I can just searching MS03026, something like that. So yeah. Please.
Yes, sir. Your voice is.
Let me stop the. My bad. So this is not internet. This is my Mac, I guess, because my internet is working perfectly. We need to do something. So if someone asks you that should you buy a Mac operating system when you are a hacker, the answer is no. Then you will say, sir, why you are having it?
At least we have a learning.
The only answer why I'm having it is business meetings.
Now it is visible.
Yeah, cool, thanks. So I have this particular exploit. I just search MS03026. So this is the basically Microsoft reference, you can say. Microsoft is a very cute organization, you can say. So they also give vulnerability reference to their own vulnerabilities. Okay, so I just use this. I just copy and I'm just pasting out this particular name of the exploit, you can say. This exploit is again socket connection script. Now I need to understand that what actually this particular script is doing, or this particular exploit is doing. I mean, what they want to do. Come on, man. Why it's lagging so much? Okay, good. So when we talk about this again, we need to understand what actually is happening. So for that, we just have to do show info. So when we do show info, we get the information about this particular exploit. So you will see that, okay, this is attacking a port number 135. If you remember, port number 135 was running on that machine, that particular machine which we were basically we are planning to attack. that was showing us that port number 135 is in use. Yeah, you can see now MSRPC is a kind of a service which are running right now. So we have port number 135 running. Now, what we have to do is we need to understand that what actually is this exploit and what it do. So over here, we understand that there is some keywords which are running, that is stack, a buffer overflow, some kind of cute keywords again. And this attack works on Microsoft 2000 XP, Microsoft 2003, and multiple operating system. So attack is always on a particular service that is not on the operating system again. So I need to understand how this attack works. I just do show options, and I'm just wrapping this thing up quickly so that we can come up to the manual part. So when we talk about, again, this kind of show options kind of script, guys, I'm just making a font less so that we can get all the options with this. Yeah, so you can see that it's asking for our host. Now our host is basically the address of our victim. मतलब जिस बंदे को घर में मिसाइल छोड़नी है उसका एड्रेस तो पता होना चाहिए ना. So we just want to get the address out. Now over here I'm in a private network ID. So we are using a private IP addresses. If you are into a global, I'm not suggesting you to do it again. If you are a professional cybersecurity expert and you work for organization, then you can do it again. So what I do is I just like set our host and the IP address of that particular machine. Yeah, 1.3. My host has been set. So in earlier, the MSF was telling me that please don't say the magic word, please don't say the magic word. Let's write the magic word right over here. So the magic word we have over here is exploit. We are just running the exploit. So this is the automated one, guys. It will take maximum 5 minutes. Can take 2 minutes or can take 20 seconds if you use a bash programming language. And once you do an exploit, you hit a particular operating system and you get some cute kind of things. And you have a sending stage. Remember, it's telling you sending exploit. Remember? So sending exploit is a kind of a keyword which it's using, because it's sending a malicious file from this Mac operating system to that MSI operating system. And it's sending a file, sending a file, sending a file, sending a file. And after sending a file, when all the files, and you can see it's sending in stages, multiple stages. Like first stage, second stage, third stage, it's sending on multiple pieces, basically. Like when you copy a file, it gets in pieces. Okay. So you can see some metapater session or metapater, something talking about metapater. So this metapater is basically a kind of a remote connection which is coming up. And you can see my metapater is dying. Again and again. I don't know why. And still trying to basically hack that particular operating system. Okay, my 5-minute session has been died. I don't know will it work or not. Let me retry, I guess. Come on. Okay, guys, I think my operating system is acting very weird. So I'm just stopping my operating system over here. And I'm showing this attack on YouTube. Just like we do on as a script pretty part.
Sure,
So you just write attack name, this attack name which I'm showing you. This will be on Windows 7 and sometimes you can work. Sorry, my screen has been paused.
Yes, sir.
Come on. Okay, guys, just after the session, I need to change the operating system. So So I'll be requesting 2 minutes from you to do that. Cool. Thank you. So sorry guys for the glitch. When Mac and Windows came into action, and let's start from the exploitation part again. So I have my Kali Linux in this particular machine also. I hope you can see my screen. Vandana, please confirm.
Yes, sir, your screen is visible and you're audible.
Thank you. So this is the Windows operating system which was running, which was my left machine, you can say. I'm just restarting it so that it doesn't get some problem or something like that. And we just again get back to action, and let me check whether I am into the network. I hope I'm not into a different network. Okay, I'm into a different network. So this configuration you have to do when you are basically into a attacking scenario. Side by side is running MSF. And back again. Cool. So my IP address is 1.4. That particular IP address which was coming to that particular Windows machine. This is the Windows machine again. The IP address which was coming, I can use multiple OS, but I was not having any other operating system. No Windows 10, nothing. So that was the only Windows which I was using. And I can't hack my base operating system. Please don't ask me to hack my base operating system again. So I just search MS03026. Search MS03026. We got the attack back again. We use the attack, like use this, and again show options. That was the last thing we were doing. We have to set the R host, and this is basic stuff, guys, which is taking time due to the glitch. This is just a basic stuff which I was not expecting that this glitch will happen. And the IP address is set back again, and I just do the magic keyword again, that is exploit. Okay. Unreachable. Is it still unreachable? The IP is reachable. Okay, so whatever reason it is, I don't know why it's not working. Maybe the day is not with us. So again, you can just go to Google and you can just find out like how this attack works, and you can just go to Eternal Blue, and when you talk about Eternal Blue attack, this was working on Windows 7, Windows, like you can say 2016 server, R2 servers and all of the thing. I am just playing a particular video so that you can just understand what actually was happening and what actually these attacks do. One interesting video from Hack5. So if you see in this particular video, this guy will be using, again, Metasploit framework, back again. So in this Metasploit framework, he just set up a particular IP address, just like you can say he's setting up a port number and he'll set up a particular IP address. You will see that the IP address will be missing. And you can just find out this thing again. And once the IP address will be in place, this person will be having one thing, that will be the access of that particular machine, you can say. Yeah, see, it's hacking right now. He just used exploit, and after getting the exploit, this person will get metadata session file opened, and you get the metadata, you can see. Now this metadata is basically, you can say, the particular access of that operating system. You can open up the camera. If it's a mobile application, you can do anything again. And when this operating system is hacked, and when the RC worked, basically, people are usually like, what actually happened? And when people get to know that they are actually hacked, so they are basically like this, and this, and this. So there can be multiple expression which people can get. So let's back again understand like what actually RCE and what is exploit development. So when you talk about RCE, what actually RCE did is it basically sent a particular kind of a malicious payload or a malicious file to a particular port number. And after sending that particular file to a particular port number, that particular machine basically get into a socket connection. So again, IP port, IP port. So for the IP address of my machine and the port number of my machine, it will get connected to a port and IP address of a different victim's machine, you can say. So when you talk about exploit development, in exploit development, we need to understand, and when you talk about genesis of RC, we need to understand first that how remote code execution works. So what is the basic step to get into a remote code execution? So the basic step is, let's say we have a particular, like you can say handle, that is Twitter. I'm just giving you an example. We have Twitter over here, and on Twitter we have a sign in. We can just go to Twitter, sign in, and it can be an application, and it has to be an application again, but it can be anything again. So I have this sign up with phone and email address. Now it should ask a particular phone number, like my phone number is 989898989898, something like that. Now the password can be मैं नहीं बताऊंगा. It can be anything. Now it can be a particular username and particular password. What we do is, in the place of this username and password, we send a particular, like you can say, malicious payload to that particular application, and that malicious payload can be, भाई please connect हो जा मेरे IP और मेरे port के साथ. Like please get a connection between my IP port, that is socket connection, which it's asking. But the application is not that pretty simple that it will ask me and okay, it will say okay, let's connect it back again. So what we have to do is we need to crash the application first to understand that where we can send a malicious payload or a malicious, you can say, payload which is created by MSF Venom. MSF Venom is again a tool which creates multiple payload and socket handling connections again. So when we talk about that, I'm just giving you an example. So remember, every attack works on a service. So on that particular service, let's say we have a service over here, and this service is SSH. Now SSH is a kind of service which you can use to log in into a different shell. Let's say like you must have used TeamViewer and you must have used AnyDesk. By TeamViewer, AnyDesk, what you can do is you can control others' machine. By SSH, what you can do is you can control others' command prompt. That is legally, again, it's a service for that. So for example, by this particular command prompt, I can access this particular command prompt which is coming over here. And that can be done by SSH. So SSH has particular parameters, like every service have particular parameters. If we talk about these services and these parameters can be user, that is for username, pass for password. And how do I know these parameters? You can just get it out from RFC. RFC is basically, like if you talk about RFC of network services, like if I talk about SSH, you can get an RFC of SSH, that is ietf.org, which is available over there, and you can find out all the, like you can say, parameters which is working for SSH. Like if you come up over here and if you just search user, let's say, so you will see that there must be a particular service which is, and if not over here, see, these are the references and all of the thing. If not from here, you can just write SSH parameters. So you have a lot of parameters for multiple services. You can just get out SSH command and services, and this is for not one particular service. This can be for multiple services again. So just like SSH, we can have HTTP. HTTP have parameters like put, get, post. Again, these are the methods which we talk about, but these are the parameters, options, delete. It can be multiple parameters again. Just like that, we have multiple services like FTP. Same way we have FTP parameters over here. So in FTP, in SSH, in multiple ways, we got the parameters. So as per what I want to show right now is that as per the username and the password which we have parameters, and anonymous are basically anonymous login. When you don't know the username password, if anonymous login is on, you can just do anonymous, and you can just get the shell of a different operating system. That's what you can do. So what I do is I just write SSH IP address, username is anonymous, and see the password which I entered. If you see the password, I have a password which is like this, and this is not only the password. The password goes like this, and further, the password goes like this. Can you how many digits are these? How many digits are these basically? So when you talk about these digits, these particular which I entered, what will actually happen if this will works on your Windows operating system? In Windows, you have a very good cute kind of a screen that is known as blue screen of death. BSOD, we refer it in a short form. And if it will be on an application basically will get something like the application will be crashed. So what I do is, so do you think that this can be a password? This ha 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 can be a password. This can be a password. This cannot be a password. I mean, as password का कुछ तो limit होगा ना, इतना बड़ा password छोड़ना होगा, and this cannot be a password again. If I have an application, let's say, and in an application I just have to like, okay, let's say I have Zoom. I'm just giving you an example, and I believe my Zoom is logged in. Yeah, it's connecting to Google. It's logged in. So let's say you have any application. On that application, you try to log in. So when you try to log in, basically, what actually happens is it will ask a username and password. It can be any app again. It can be your Instagram application in your mobile phone. I'm giving you an example. So you just enter a particular keyword and you want to check that whether your application is getting crashed or not. So this is the first stage of RCE, where you identify that whether your application is getting crashed over here or not. So when you talk about this, what actually will happen? So the process which we did right now, we basically do it with A's. We enter A's, not ha ha ha. I've just made it cute. So when we enter A's over here, we get an error, and that error basically tells us that whether the application is vulnerable or not, or whether we can hack a particular application or not. So that error is basically known as segmentation fault. This segmentation fault is kind of an error which tells you that, okay, this application has been crashed or this operating system has been crashed. So when we talk about this, what actually happened? So every time, every developer, let's say in a mind of developer, every developer must be having a kind of, like they use parameters and they use input variables. So when you talk about the application, let's say there's an application that is Skype. Now they have a user and they have a parameter which they created. So the data type they use in user can be, for example, let's say char user. They have a user kind of a, like you can say a parameter. And same way they have a char pass, like character username and character pass. If it can be mobile number, it can be int, or you can say MOB. It can, I'm just giving you an example of parameters again. So when you talk about this char, this again user or this pass, or let's say over here, and we make an array of 20 because more than 20, kiska username hoga? Muthu Swami Ayyar, it can be not more than 20 again. So password can be more than, I can say, not more than, let's say 30 characters or 20 characters or something like that. And mobile number, we all know, mobile number is of 10 characters, 10 integers again. So when we have these, is this fixed that only 20 characters a particular person can enter? When a developer do 20, is it fixed? It's not fixed actually. So it depends on the compiler which the developer is using. Like we used to have Turbo C++, Dev C++ and all tools. So in Turbo C++, if we talk about integer, let's say, and if a person is entering int or then an array of 10. So integer in Turbo C++, the size of integers basically used to have 2 bytes. So when you talk about 2 bytes, so this basically happens 10 into 2. And a user can enter 20 numbers in a way. Just like that, if a person is using Dev C++, Dev basically usually takes 4 bytes. So you can say it can be 10 into 4 and it goes to 40 variables or 40 data type. Now, if we talk about this something like that, can you tell me, do you think these are 20 or these are 40? These are more than 100. And when we have a limit crossed, like when we have this, like it's asking for 40 numbers, and let's say we enter this, and this is 40. And if we say we just enter more than 40, that is 41. Like this can be 41. I'm just giving you an example. In that way, the application will crash and error, that is segmentation fault coding. Now, why I'm teaching you that data structures and all other things? Because at the time of my BCA, I barely passed with the passing numbers. To be honest, I got 41 or 40 numbers in these topics. But when I talk about hacking these things, I need to learn out these things. So when I talk about this is basically a process that is known as fuzzing and spiking. They get 2 processes which people use. And again, this is the same example which I've used over here. Now, when we talk about this, it's the same thing. Again, just see, like 20 into 2, it can be 40 bytes. But this haha is more than 40. So it gives you an error. What is that is segmentation fault. So when I was learning segmentation fault in the earlier spaces, I was like, in every kind of error, it's taking me to segmentation fault. So what the hell is segmentation fault? And this was me in the initial stage of when I was learning expert development. So when I talk about segmentation fault, it basically indicates memory corruption. It tells you कि भाई आपका memory का जो है वो corrupt हो गया और क्योंकि वो 40 से extend हो गया. So segmentation का मतलब होता है that your memory has been corrupted. It can be OS memory, it can be application memory, and when it say a website, एक website भी बहुत एक server पे चलती है. There must be a server which is running behind that particular website. एक domain के पीछे एक server तो hosted होगा ना. So that server must be having a particular you can say hosting, like Apache engines can be multiple hosting servers which will be using, and they must be having an interface. That interface will be crashed. Something will happen for HTTP service again. So every service will crash and they will get a segmentation fault. If you are able to get this kind of an error in an application, that means the application can be hacked. In a web application, you will not be able to do it, but in a, like you can say, exe application, you will be easily able to do it. So when I talk about, again, segmentation fault is basically a process where pieces of memory are overwritten and like all other things. So I guess, guys, I have some device issue which I am facing. So I'll not be going ahead with the demo part, which I basically created, but the demo can't happen. So I can take questions. We already have 10 minutes. So if we have questions right now, we can take it. Are we here?
Yes, sir. I'm just looking at the chat box.
Sure. So sorry for the glitch, guys. The machine is not working properly. First, my MacBook was not working, and my MacBook was having the Kali Linux and Windows 10. All of the things was there, and the exploit had to be happening on that particular machine. But it somehow, if I show you, it's working on the floor right now. So it's not working at all. So sorry for the glitch. For more on buffer overflows and talks like this, I have given multiple talks. You can just search my name on Google or on YouTube, and you can find multiple talks like on the same concept, on similar concepts, you can say.
Sir,
Yeah,
right
Vandana,
now
bring
we
it on.
don't have any further questions. You have already answered most of them. In fact, all of them. I think
All of them, okay.
You have to call it a wrap for 2 years.
So sorry, guys. There was a glitch in the machine part, so it doesn't work.
That's
I'll see you again in a different talk back again. And like I'm thinking to make a complete demo of this thing and upload it on my Twitter and Instagram. So you can just connect with me on Instagram, and I'll show you that how this talk has to be presented, but due to the device delay, it doesn't work. Thank you so much for inviting me again, and I sign off. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for clearing the topic. I sincerely appreciate it. I request everyone to open the Google Form link in the chat box and attempt the questions. Top 3 people will get a mask and a pair of stickers. Thank you, sir, again for being here and giving your Welcome back, everyone. I take guest for today, Mr. Tushar Verma. He's an application security engineer and SINAC Red team member. The topic he will be presenting today is how to fail in bug bounties. We welcome you, sir. You may start your presentation.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to see how to fail at bug bounty hunting. So the thing is, like I was seeing every day, I'm like seeing on WhatsApp, on my DMs, on my Instagram, on my LinkedIn, like everyone is just sending me messages like, okay, sir, I'm facing problem in this thing, I'm facing problem in this thing. So basically, if you are a beginner in bug bounty, so this is the talk for you. Okay, and if you are like experienced also, then also you can watch it, because like I will be saying some of the tips, I will be giving some tips which may be helping you for sure. So basically, what is happening? This is a field like nowadays everyone is in this field. Everyone is hunting on same program. We have more than like there are many competition in this field. So we need to be we need to make a proper plan for this thing. So let's start. So okay, so before start, let me give you my introduction. Like who am I? So I am working as an application security engineer. I'm also a part of CNAC Red team, and I'm a full-time bug bounty hunter and a part-time info trainer and speaker. So let's start. Our main thing, that is failing at bug bounty. So basically, what is happening? Like as a beginner, we are doing some common mistake. Like everyone is doing. Like it's not like okay, if only you are doing. Like in my case, also when I was a beginner in this field, I also used to do the same mistake. So we'll be seeing all the failure first. Then after that, we'll be going for like how we can change our approach so that we can have a like if you are like just finding bugs and reporting, and by any problem you're not able to like go for bounty, then of course you can learn from this thing. So let's start. So the first thing is you are participating in the wrong program. Okay, so the first thing, like there is no like thing like okay wrong and the program is the best program for anyone. See what is happening basically as a beginner. If you are just going for a program which is having more than like for example, if there's a program having more competitor, like there are more hunter testing on the same program, then of course for a beginner like you, like if you don't know that much vulnerability, because of course when we are going to start this field, we are not well known for all the vulnerabilities. So of course the competition will be very tough on that program. So that is not a program for you. Or just for example, sometimes what is happening, there are many programs available. For them the payout is very less, like they are not paying you that much. Okay, so in that case also, if you are going to start testing on that program, then of course if you are finding a bug you are reporting, then they won't pay you that much. So that is the program which is not for you. Or you can go more ahead. If a program is having the scope less, like for example all the assets which they are providing are very less, then in that case also, if you're a beginner, then because the assets are less and the competition are more, because you are seeing the crowd is more and more nowadays in this bug bounty. So because the assets are very less, so if you're trying to just report a vulnerability, then the chances of getting that vulnerability, like maybe they will be giving you not applicable, out of scope, duplicate, these things will be it is a fixed thing, you will be getting that. So always try to take time to choose a program. This is the first step for anyone who is doing bug bounty. So then the second one is fail to read bug bounty guidelines. Nowadays what is happening, we are just entering into any program. Let's say you are testing on Bugcrowd platform or HackerOne, we are getting a long paragraph of all the guidelines which they have given. Now this is a time like you need to first read everything. Okay, like for example, if you're trying to start testing, if you don't read these things, then the chances of getting your bug out of scope is very high. So as a beginner, like in my case also, I was also doing the same mistake at start, but now I have been learning like okay, you need to first read all the things which is given on the program guidelines. The third thing is lots of duplicate. Now, for a bug bounty hunter, this is a very common problem. Like you also know, and I am also seeing every day on LinkedIn, on Instagram, like, okay, I am just reporting a vulnerability and I am getting a duplicate. So first thing is don't take it as a negative manner. Okay, take it as a positive manner. Okay, if you're finding a vulnerability, let's say if it's any vulnerability, it's a CSRF, it's a IDOR, it's a SQL injection, it's a RC. If it's duplicate also, the thing is you have found that vulnerability, okay, and the main thing is because you have found a vulnerability, they have accepted it a vulnerability, the company is accepting it, but yes, because anyone has reported it earlier, so they will not pay you. So don't get demotivated in that, because you are learning. Main thing in, like, we are doing bug bounties for learning, we are just breaking the application so that we can learn more and more. So don't get demotivated, it's a part of this thing, okay. If you are in bug bounty, you are doing hard work. I know, like, everyone is doing hard work, but the luck is a like a main factor in bug bounty, because if anyone has tested this application earlier, then they must have found it vulnerability. So of course we are seeing the lots of duplicates. So in the next slide we will be seeing how we can cope up with this, like how we can try to get the number of duplicate less. Now the fourth thing is fail to show impact. Nowadays what is happening, we are just trying to we are just getting some API key, we are just getting some access keys or ID and all, and at that time we are just going to, like, okay, we have found something and we'll report it. No, if you are just reporting these things like API keys, the ID, password and all, you're getting on any txt file or any sources, then you need to show the impact. And what is happening as a beginner, we just fail to show impact. So that is a problem, and that's why we are like not able to just if you are reporting a bug, then they won't accept it. Now the fifth thing is you don't stick to a program. Now this is a very common problem, like for everyone. What is happening, if we are like going for a program and we are just testing it, and after a few hours if we are not able to find any vulnerability, we just jump into some other program, and that is not a way. If you are in AppSec also, you need to understand the application, and it takes time. Like in few hours you can't like explore everything, all the functionality you can't explore everything in just few hours or in few days. Like it will take time, it depends upon the application. So if you are like if you are a beginner, then you must be doing like you're just seeing a program, you're just testing for a few hours, and then you're jumping to a different program. So that is a mistake. So we will be seeing like how we can overcome this. Now the main thing is you don't recon. Now recon is the most important thing in bug bounty. As I was like telling from start, like we have a lot number of people hunting on a same program. We have competition, we have crowd. So if you are not doing recon, then recon is a very important phase in this, because recon will help you to increase the attack surfaces. Recon will help you to just find some hidden endpoints, some endpoints which are very like you can find bugs on them. So recon is a thing which you are not doing maybe, so you are failing at bug bounty. Now the last thing is bad report writing. So maybe you may be like a very experienced one, you know how to find the bugs, you know how to just be on a same program, but at the end of the day you don't know how to make a perfect report. As I know, like okay, we all are in corporate world, we know how to just make a report writing, but like basically what is happening, sometimes if we can't explain, uh, for example, if we are just reporting a bug and the program owner can't be like we are not able to like make them understand, okay, this is the vulnerability and this is the impact, so they won't be accepting the our report. So that is the thing, like if you are in bug or hackathon, sometimes we are not able to explain them, like okay, we have found this vulnerability, and they are not able to like understand what we have found out. So in that case they just make it NA, like not like. So this is a thing which you need to be seeing this. So approach towards a better bug bounty hunting. So we'll be seeing all the like all the failure thing, like the things which we were doing wrong and how we can just improve it. So the first thing is take your time in choosing the right program. Now what is this, like okay, we have so many programs. If you are just going for like just on Bugcrowd or HackerOne or any other platform, like so there are many programs available. So you need to like go for some points which are very important for just making a program which is like a program which is best for you. The first thing is the scope, the assets. Assets means the in-scope item and the out-scope item. So when you are just jumping into a program, you need to first analyze all the in-scope item and out-scope item. Basically, what is in-scope and out-scope item means the in-scope thing, the company want you all to test these in-scope assets only, and the out-of-scope assets means you don't need to test on that like all the URLs and which they are given. So you need to first analyze that, because if you are testing the auto-scope target or auto-scope assets, then of course they won't be paying you, they will be marking you duplicate. also sorry, they will be marking you as not applicable or out of scope. So you need to just choose a program which is having a good number of assets, because you are a beginner, so you need more and more assets, like the scopes should be more. Now the second thing, if you are choosing a program, should be number of report resolved. Why I am saying number of report resolved? Because what is happening if the company is active, means like if you are seeing the number of all the report which are resolved is more, means the company is active. So company is active means all the bugs which are being reported, they are trying to patch that vulnerability, they are trying to fix all the vulnerabilities. So the chance of getting the bug duplicate will be less, because the company is active, the application is being updating every day. So if you are seeing the number of the bug are patch are more, then you can go for that program. The third thing which you need to just see is the payout, and I think in this field in bug bounty, we are just going for payout thing. So it depend upon your priority. Like if you want to see the payout also, then just see the payout for all the classes of vulnerability. Then only you just take the program. Okay, if the payout is good, then we can just try to hunt on that program. The fourth one is time to tries and time to payout. Like okay, so in Bugcrowd or in HackerOne, they are just giving you all the information. Like okay, after a particular time, like after 24 hours, after 2 days, after 3 days, they will be giving you a proper answer that okay, your bug is like valid or not, and then after some time they will pay you also after a fixed time. So just see like okay, if the time to try is less, then you can report, you can start testing on that particular program. So that is the thing you need to do. So take your time in choosing the program, and the program which you see like okay, which gives you all the things like they have more assets, they have payout is good, the number of all the bugs which are been reported are resolved, and the time to triage and time to payout is good, then just go for that vulnerability. Now that the second one is read and understand bug bounty brief. Before that, also one more thing is like if you are testing on a particular platform, so platform has some their own VRT rating. Like if you are on Bugcrowd, they have own VRT rating. If you are on HackerOne, they have their own rating policies. So also please see these things, because sometimes what is happening, many bugs are like they are let's suppose that HackerOne is accepting that particular bug, but Bugcrowd won't accept that bug. So with difference in platform, you need to change your approach. Also the technique which I am giving you to choose a program is for the platform one. If you are testing on RDB program, or if any company is hosting the program on their site only, in that case there is no guarantee like okay, they, like if you want to test on their program also you can test, but the chances like okay, the time to triage and time to bounty, they are not fixed. Okay, so if you are testing on a platform, then you can just try to use all the tips which I am giving for choosing the right program. Now the second one is read and understand bug bounty brief. Now what is happening, if you are testing on a program, they just give all the focus area. So the main thing is like focus area is like it's a very helpful for a beginner, because they will be giving you all the names of the vulnerability they want us to test. Okay, the main thing. Now what is happening, just, just for example,
Excuse
yes?
me, Tushar sir, there is a message from the audience, YouTube audience. They are asking you to slow down a bit.
Okay, sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So like the main thing what is happening, if we are seeing there are some guidelines present. The first guideline is like the focus area. So in the focus area, they are just telling us all the vulnerability they want us to test. Like so for they are just telling us CSRF, IDOR, or SQL injection, or these any vulnerability they want, vulnerability which they want us to test. Now as a beginner, you may not be knowing all the vulnerabilities. Okay, so you can first make a list, and now bug bounty is all about learning and then trying to use that like what the thing you are learned, you can use that on a program or on an application, so that you can practice that. So okay, I have been like seeing all the list, then I can make a list of all the vulnerabilities. Let's say if for example I'm testing for CSRF, then I can make all the function, I can first try to get the functionality, all the functions, all the parameters from where I can test the CSRF on that particular application. Then after that we can make all the cases. Okay, and then you can start testing on a particular program. So in that case, what will happen, because you know the like what the company want from you. So the bug, like if you are reporting that bug, then they will be accepting. The chance of getting that bug accepted will be more. And also you must be seeing the out of scope thing is also given. Okay, so out of scope is like if, for example, I am seeing like there are some low hanging fruit, let's say SPF demark. I think it's everyone is knowing this type of vulnerability. So SPF demark is out of scope in every program. So if you are a beginner and you have just learned SPF demark and you are just going to report it on a program, then of course like they won't be accepting that. So you need to also see that. And in some program, what is happening, the DOS attack is also in scope area. So in that case, because you have seen, understand all the thing which is like on the brief of the program, so you can report and you can be the like the whole crowd is on one side and you can be on the best side of that, because you know like okay, this company want this type of community only. Now the third thing is understand the vulnerability or the bug and try to explain impact to program owners. Now this is the like you can say the main thing, because if you're finding any vulnerability and you can't like explain the impact of that vulnerability, then it's like not like if you're reporting also they won't accept it. Like for example, let's suppose that if you are finding an API key and you can't exploit it. This is a very common like I'm seeing on the like many are posting on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, like okay, API key we have found out and we need to report it. Can we report? So if you can exploit that API, then of course you can report it. But if you can't exploit that API, then it's not worth it. Like okay, you have found API key, you can report, but then the company will be asking what's the impact. So you need to just give them a proper impact. If you are running any automated scanner and they are just showing you something like okay, there's one vulnerability, let's say calls, like in burp, many times if many beginners are doing scanning and they are just getting calls. So you need to exploit the calls. You are just reporting that okay, you have got a call, but you can't exploit, you can't give an impact to the company, then they won't accept it. So whenever you are finding any vulnerability, just go for like okay, like just first try to means get an impact, like explain the company every impact of that vulnerability. Now the fourth thing is keep yourself updated with the new updates on old programs. Now what is happening, we are testing on various programs. Okay, as a beginner we are just jumping onto programs, we are seeing like okay, we are getting bounty also, we are just moving on to program. Now the thing is the application will be patching that particular vulnerability and then they will be updating. Now as the company is updating their application, of course their functionality will be increasing, and as the functionality will be increasing, of course the bugs will be more. So after few like after few months or few weeks, you can just come back to the same program and you can start testing on the old program also. The plus point is what is happening when I like in my case, if I am going for an old program testing, I know the program very well. Okay, because at earlier also I have tested, I found the bug. So in that case, what will happen, because I know these means the functionality, how the application is working, everything. So that the chances of like if I want to just find a bug will be more. Like if anyone is trying to like he is new to this program, so he will take time to understand the functioning of the program. But in my case, I am very old because I have been testing on the program earlier also, so I know how the program is working. So in that case, you can be on the like you will have some advantage. So always be updated with the old program also. Like okay, you are testing new program daily, but just go for some old program testing also. Maybe if you are not getting bugs on new program, then you can just try to find the bugs on old program. Now the thing is recon. As I was saying, like, recon is very important for like everyone, and recon is the like most important thing for anyone who is doing bug bounty. So you can do one thing, you can start with manual and automated recon. So why I'm telling automated and manual both, because sometimes what happens with some automation, we may miss something. So you can also do things manually also. You can try the scope based recon by Harsh Botra. Why scope based recon? Because like scope based recon is like it's a very best way to start like if you want to start doing recon as a beginner. Scope based recon will give you all the things which you want. Like okay, you know that if your scope is small, your scope is medium, or your scope is large, then you are knowing like okay, what are things you need to test what are things you need to find, what are things you can do. Means you are knowing all your scope. So the chances of getting your bugs not applicable or auto scope will be very less. So you can try to like learn this scope based recon thing. There are like blogs, there are some videos also for that. So you can just search it. And also, if you're doing automated recon, like there are some framework. So if you're doing this automated recon also, try to use all the information. Like it's not like okay, you are doing a recon automation and you are finding various information, and then you are like you have found so much information, but you don't know how to use that. So in that case, it's a waste of time for you. Like you are doing a recon scan and you're just throwing the framework in your in your OS, and then you're finding bunch of information, and then you can't use that, then it's a waste of time also. So try to like do a proper recon, like all the things which you are getting, all the, like let's say all the means all the information you are getting, you need to understand how to use that thing. Like for example, if I'm getting a medium scope target, okay, because I think large scope we don't get generally, and small scope we can't do that much thing. So in medium scope, what is happening, I'm getting a like let's say a URL, let's say xyz.com. So I will be going for the first thing, that is the subdomain. So after getting the subdomain, what all things we can do? So we can just try to first get the active one. So we can just filter out the active subdomain. But now also what we can do some more endpoints. We can find some endpoint to the all the these subdomain which are left. Like for example, if I am getting any unactive for them, like for example, if the company is blocking me from there, so then I can try to bypass that. If I will be able to do that, then of course the domain which I am getting, the URL which I am getting is a very like a URL which is not tested by many, because that the company is blocking everyone. And if you are able to do some more things on that. And also one more thing is, like if you're trying to use only one tool for recon, then it's a like you are not doing recon correctly. You need to use some more tool. Like for example, if you want to find things, then go for Wayback, Gao, Arjun. Use more and more tools, find more parameter to test on. So that is a thing. So that whole thing for recon. Now we will be seeing like better report writing. So as I told, like okay, we all are in corporate world and we know how to just make a report and all. But in bug bounty, basically what happens, the first thing is, because like there are many competitions, so everyone is just what they are doing, they are finding a bug and they are just reporting it. But like, so what you need to do for to be out of the crowd, you first make a proper heading. The heading, like you need to show some impact also. Like for example, if you're finding any leak information, then just tell them like okay, you have found leak information about 1 lakh clients. So it will be giving you a proper let's say a report title. For example, if I'm getting any leak information and I'm just giving them okay, I have found some leaks of your client, and I'm giving them 1 lakh leaks of the client. So the difference, see, like the impact they will be getting. Now after that, we need to explain them the vulnerability, how we have found the vulnerability, what is the vulnerability, and don't give like them like you are just copying pasting all the like about the vulnerability. Give them a very short intro, point wise is very good. Don't give him paragraph. It's like we are just giving a report. We are not having any history class, so don't give them like okay paragraph, long paragraph of 100 words or 120 words. No, don't give like that. Just keep it short, just like in point wise. Tell them a proper step to reproduce, like how you have got vulnerability. This is a very main thing. If you're wasting your time in just like just for example, you are just giving them all the everything about the bug or the vulnerability you have found, it's a waste of time. You need to first tell them the main thing is like how you have found the vulnerability, and the main thing is POC. POC is the thing which you need to give them, because POC like if you're giving them then it will be very easy for them to find the vulnerability. Okay, that they can confirm that the vulnerability is existing or not. So the POC can be in the form of video or in the form of screenshot. It depends upon you how you are giving. Okay. So after that, when you have attached the POC on your report, then just go for for example, if you have just given these things, then just tell them the impact also. And impact is very important. If you're not giving them the impact, then they won't be knowing like okay, this vulnerability is creating the impact or not in our application. And at last, just tell them how they can mitigate the vulnerability. This is very important. You're a AppSec, like you're in AppSec field, you are learning how to just do find the flaws. Then you need to also explain them like how you can mitigate that. So these are things which will be helping you. And if you are properly doing these things, then of course you can be like just finding a vulnerability, and of course I am damn sure that the bounty is on your way. Okay, so now we can go for tips for beginners. So basically, as a beginner, everyone is facing problem. Okay, it's a common thing because in bug bounty, everyone is like not knowing everything. Of course, in my case also, I was also at a beginner, I was also not knowing many things in bug bounty. So what is happening? We all are seeing like everyone who is doing bug bounty is like they are just saying okay, money, money, money. So don't be greedy. Start with a let's say go with the point based program. Like in Buckler nowadays they don't give point, but yes, I think if you are testing on the program, then of course the main thing is learning. So you are learning, the crowd is less, so you will be able to find more bugs on that program. And maybe Buckler is giving invite also for that. So if you are going for point based program, then it is very helpful because you are getting private invites. In hackathon, same thing is there. If you are hunting on point based program, the crowd is less. So in that case, if you are just like for example, you are just finding bugs on the point based program, so they will be sending you some private invite, and then you can go for bounty. But at start, if you are just testing the program which are point based, so main thing is learning. So you will be learning more and more vulnerabilities, and the competition is less on the point based program because all the experienced hackers or the hunters or anyone who is AppSec guy who is testing on the application, they will be going for the program which is giving them bounty. So that is the first tip which you can follow. Now the second tip is go for the wide scope target. Now when I'm saying wide scope target means the target like for I was telling like if you're choosing a program, just see how much asset they are in scope. So if you are having a medium scope or large scope, then it's a perfect one for you as a beginner. Because in small scope, of course, the crowd is more. So in small scope, the chance of just getting a valid bug is very less. Okay, all the bugs are like many have been testing on that application, so they have just reported that bug earlier also. And in bug bounty, luck is very important. So of course you are late in that. So of course you are knowing that vulnerability, but they have been reported earlier. So if you are going for any like medium scope or large scope, your scope is large, then you can do recon. You can find some more endpoint, and then you can start testing on target. And yes, you can get you can get some bugs which can be accepted, and they will pay you for that. Now the main thing is no low hanging fruits. Now see low hanging fruits. If I'm saying no low hanging fruit, it depends like why I'm saying this. So if the program is new, like for example, you are getting a private invite, and that is a very new program, fresh program, no one has tested. Start with low hanging, no problem. But if you are seeing a program is very old, like many have tested, many bugs have been reported, then of course that program, like if you're reporting any low hanging fruit, then they will be like okay, the bug has been reported earlier. So it depends. So nowadays we are seeing like every program has been tested like by everyone. So because you are like okay, every day we'll be seeing new program, but many programs in Bugcrowd also in Hackathon also are tested by many. So try to get some more like say SQL injection, or you can go for LFI, you can auth misconfiguration, IDOR. So these are some vulnerability. If you are in Bugcrowd, then there are P1, P2 vulnerabilities. So these are the vulnerabilities which are very good. Now the main thing is what is happening as a beginner. You all are thinking like okay, I can't hunt for the vulnerability. So don't think anything like that. If you want, if you are thinking like okay, these are very tough. So of course anyone can find. Okay, just you need to spend some more time on the application. Now the main part is if you are like you want to learn these vulnerability, then you can just learn the art of dorking. Like everything is available. Okay, everything is available on the internet. In fact, I am also learning from internet. I am also just finding. I want to learn anything. I just go on the net. I just search all the words, like I want to search RC, then I will search RC, and I will be getting many blogs because there are some blogs available for searching and all. So you can like search, find, learn, and then use that thing on your application. The main thing is you can let's learn, hack, and repeat. These are things. So always like in a day, just prioritize your time. Just give 2 hours for learning and then some hours for hacking. So it will be a very proper timing because you are learning daily. You are making you are upgrading your skill daily, and then you are trying to like see after learning you need to also do the practical thing. Okay, so lab solving is good. You are solving labs and you are getting work, but success. Then it's a very good thing. Like okay, you understand how the application is behaving, and you have exploited the vulnerability. So learn how to find things by your own. Like everyone, like everything is open source. Every bug hunter is sharing their blogs. There are many things. I've also shared many blogs, many tweets, and all. You can just search these things and you can start learning on your own. You don't need anyone like any guide, any mentor for that. Everything is now available. Okay, now try to learn the use of burp extension. Now what is happening, this burp extension is a very underrated thing, like many don't know. We all are just going for scanners, and scanners are not good according to me. I don't use scanner, I don't automate things. If I don't know automation, I'm doing things manually. So basically what is happening, burp extension will be like okay, it's not full automation, it will just automate your some part only. And that is very like if you are like testing your application, then you can be a like you can have a plus point because of that. So learn how to use the burp extension for particular, like if you want to find idor, xss, file upload, there are various extensions available on the burp store. Okay, so in that case you need to learn these things also because it is very helpful for everyone. Okay, now the last thing is learn chaining different vulnerabilities. Now what is happening, we are finding any low impact bug, let's say HTML injection, okay, on any functionality or any endpoint. So we can change that particular vulnerability also. But as a beginner, we don't know. So start learning how to change different vulnerability. Okay, I won't be teaching that now, but yes, I'm just giving an idea that you need to learn the chaining. Okay, because chaining is very important for everyone. And after chaining you can just make your low impact bug a very high impact bug. Okay, you can change some like SQL to RC, you can change LFI to RC, you can change SRF to RC, you can change HTML injection to SSRF. So you can change different vulnerability, you can exploit more, and you can get bounty from that also. And sometimes what is happening, you are knowing like in bug in some program they are just giving okay, this particular bug has been found. So you know, so you can first try to find that particular bug, so your learning will be completed. Now you can try to change that vulnerability. Like for example, if in a particular XYZ program SQL injection is been found, okay, so in that case you can try to escalate. If like it's the bug is not bad, then you can try to find that bug and then try to change that vulnerability and find RC from that. Okay, it's tough. Like if you're seeing any vulnerability on file upload, you can try to change it to RC. So that is a thing, you can just make your bug more impactful. Okay, there are many various blogs also on the internet. There are many tweets, tips available. You can just search for that. You can learn from them. Okay, one more thing, I am like many of hunters are just sharing their tips and all. See every tips, every step to reproduce. Like for example, if anyone is trying to do account takeover attack or any other attack, it depends upon the functionality. So if that guy is able to do that particular thing, it's not like you can also do that thing. So read that tip, understand how he's like doing these things, and try. Like don't start testing that steps to like you have seen the step, you're copying the step in every application. That is not a thing. You need to understand like every application is having some like every application functionality behavior is different. So that is a mistake which maybe you have been doing, so don't do that. There are also like I am seeing many automation script are given, like they are just making some like they are just making some tool and all. So see like you are just making a tool, and then you are just, if you want to use the tool, use positive. So and the learning will be zero because all the things will be like the tool is running on in the background, and you are just seeing the tool, so you are not learning anything. So try to first do things manually, then learn how to automate things, and then you can automate it by yourself. That is the best approach which you can do. Now avoid screenshot. Now this is the best thing. I have been like okay, at start I was also posting various screenshot. Okay, and nowadays I'm seeing like many are posting, but see, screenshot posting is not bad. In my time, what I did, I just used to tell the bug name and how, so, and any tip. So if you're posting any screenshot, then of course just post a tip or any sample of report. Let's say, for example, you have been learning from H1 reports or you are learning from Medium blog, then just attach something like from them, so that a beginner who is like in this field, who is just intend to enter in this field, he can learn from that source. But nowadays, what is happening? We are just seeing, okay, they are just posting like, okay, I have found this bug, I have found this bug, and I have been given this much bounty. They don't just give any like tips or any links of the report or resources which they have referred. In that case, you can unfollow them. Okay, because like I have been like sharing every, like if I am finding any vulnerability, then I am sharing all the blogs which I have been referring. And I guess I want every bug hunter, for experience one, then you can just do that thing also. Okay, like you can just means you can also give some tips, any dog, any payload which you are using, so that any beginner can also do that. If you are it's a very basic. If you don't do that, then if you are following any bug hunter who is just posting a screenshot, no tips, no help, no support, just unfollow them or you can ignore them. Why? Because as a beginner, you are facing problem in this, and he's just posting his success. Of course, see, success posting is not bad, but the thing is, we need to keep in mind that everyone is at a start is at zero, and they are not feeling okay with that. Okay, so of course, if you are feeling demotivated by this, then you can just unfollow that guy, no problem. The second thing is, don't compare. Everyone is like comparing, like, okay, this particular guy is just going and is like he's finding only RC, SQLI, SRF, the big vulnerability. So if you're comparing them, then just compare, like he's like experienced, like he's hunting for more than 1 year, 2 years, so he know many things in compared to you. So when he was also at start, he was also at zero. In fact, I was also at zero. Like in my first 2 months of bug hunting, I was not knowing how to find SQL injection. I was like scared about SQL injection. I like how to find SQL, SRF, RC, and these type of bugs. Okay, so at start, I also faced this problem, like, okay, that particular hunter is finding many bugs, and I am not able to find bugs. But nowadays, I can also find the bugs which my like all the hunters are finding. So it will take time. You need to give your time to yourself. So that is the main thing. If you're giving time, you're learning, then of course at after few months, after like 1 year, 2 years, you can start, like you can get that bug also. So just keep a target, like, okay, you need to learn these type of these vulnerability and start focusing on that. You can follow a guy like who is posting tips on that particular vulnerability, and you can also text him, like, okay. And one more thing, like in texting, don't message anyone like hello, hi. I've been like getting messages like hello, hi. Don't. You can just message any bug hunter, like, okay, you are facing a problem in this particular field, in this particular bug, then we are happy to help. Okay, now spend more time in learning, and believe me, you will be getting success. Now see, the problem is like bug bounty hunter are like just like you are just going for money, and it's good. Like, okay, everyone wants money, because money is the thing which will change lifestyle. Like at a time when I was also beginner, I was also, if I was getting money from this field, I used to like, okay, I am getting a money, so my lifestyle will be changed. But if you're not learning, then bug bounty is a field which want everyone to be updated. Like every day new, like there are many things are like coming. There are many CVs, vulnerability are coming. So you need to be updated with everything. Okay, so you need to keep learning daily. Learning should be like your priority, and bug bounty, of course. So if you are learning, then of course you can find more bugs and you can do a full-time bug hunting. But yes, trust me, I will be saying don't do full-time bug hunting, because sometimes what happens, we don't get bug in like always. So you can just find a job, and yes, bug bounty will also help you to get a job also, because like if you're like an AppSec, you are finding vulnerabilities, every application means you know the approach of that. So you can do these things. Just try to things like, if anything is demotivating you, then try to ignore that thing. Okay, don't allow anyone to be the reason for your demotivation. Okay, you are on your own, you are self-made. Just try to find the vulnerability and report it. Try to learn more and more, and then you will be getting success for sure. Now comes the automation part. Now I will be like telling you, like many of our them are automating XSS, SQLi. In my case, I am a guy. I'm testing on the Windows. Okay, I'm only having one tool, which is BSides. So for testing vulnerability, I can't tell you any automation script. Okay, because if you're in a learning phase, then automation is not good for you. For Recon, you need to like automate stuff, because everyone is automating, and you need to be fast enough. Like if you're finding a program and then you want to, if you want to start like doing recon on that target manually, then it will take time, and because of competition you need to be fast enough for that. So for that you can use some automation framework. I have been seeing many automation framework, and the best three is, the first one is the Recon FTW, the second one is Beam tool, and the third one is Osmodius. These three are the best Recon automation tool. If you're going for Recon FTW, I think my all Recon methodology, which I have been following manually, is like for example, I was very totally impressed by this tool. Like the guy who made, like, he made the tool, like I think he's a god, because I was doing things manually in Recon. Then I just like I was just trying to see the tool, like how this tool is working, and I got to know like this tool is best for you. Okay, so you can use this tool for your Recon automation. The second one is the Project Beam by Harsh Botra. So Harsh Botra scope-based Recon methodology. If you are following him, you know about him, like what is the scope-based Recon methodology. So this Project Beam works on the same. So if you are following this scope-based Recon methodology, you are doing things manually, then you can use this Beam tool, and yes, like I am sure like it will be very helpful for you. The third one is Osmodius. It's a like a very good scanner tool if you are doing a Recon scanning. It's a old tool, but yes, it's now also good. If you want, then you can also take it like in your like you can use this also. Use any one. It's on a waste. I'm not doing like okay use particular tool, but Recon FTW is my favorite one in this. Okay. So now comes the bug bounty resources. So we have been like seeing like for a whole day, like for a whole talk, like okay, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to learn and all. Now the main thing is bug bounty resources. Like if you ask me from where I am learning things, I think many of like Burgunder, they don't want to like tell these things. But yes, see, I am very open to it. I was learning from all these sources which are open source. Okay, so the first thing is you can go for some free sources which are the Portugal Lab. See, like when you are solving any Portugal Lab, one tip which I will be giving you: don't see the solution. If you are seeing the solution of the labs, then it's a waste of time. You are just wasting your time in solving lab, because you know the vulnerability. And what is the problem with beginners? They are just asking one question from everyone. I have solved the particular Portugal lab, pen tested lab, everything, but I am not able to find the flaws in the real application. This is because you are seeing the solution in the lab. You need to not see anything. What is this lab? Just see, okay, SQL injection is, lab is there. You have learned the SQL injection. Try to see how the application is behaving. If you will be able to do that thing, then it will be, you will learn the approach also. But if you are seeing the solution, if you are seeing the payload, what is being used and all, then it's a waste of time. You are solving Portugal. But trust me, if you are solving a Portugal lab, like just treat it as a real application, then you can easily use that knowledge to hunt on real application. Now comes the paid sources from where you can learn. So the first one is the pen tested lab. It's a very good thing if you are trying to learn about bug bounty, web application part. Then pen tested lab is very good. All the batches from Recon batch to Essential batch, everything is good. I have been using this pen tested lab, and trust me, it's a very good thing. Just keep a notes about all the all the lab which you are solving, because it will be very helpful for you in the later on of your like bug bounty. The third one is the bugbountyhunter.com. Trust me, if you are like want to invest some money, then bugbountyhunter.com is very good. I have been I'm practicing on this platform, and this platform has around 112 to 100 plus vulnerability, and like he has made a application which is real life application type only. Okay, so if you are like want to invest some money, then go on for this, because like if you are testing on this particular platform, then you will be knowing like how the application is like how the application is behaving, how it's working. So it is a very if you are like for example you want to learn idor, or let's say SQL injection or any other CSR vulnerability, then you know like how to find on a real life application type one, because like he has made like all the vulnerability which he has been finding on the real application, he has just add that on his platform. So like this is the best thing where you can invest. Two more things where you can like go for practicing are the try hack me and hack the box. So hack the box is free of cost. If you want to go for VIP, then of course you need to pay. Hack the box is like okay, it is more like on an NPT thing. Okay, you are just like playing with nmap and all. But you if you want to find like some like if you want to practice the bugs and all, then you can also practice from hack the box. Like in many machines you are getting SQLI, SSRF, SSTI, RC. Like I was not doing these things, but like I have been seeing like on the LinkedIn on my friends post like okay, like they are finding this vulnerability, and in real life it's very hard to find. So if you are solving from the hack the box, then you are learning things. Okay, and in TryHackMe also there are some machine which is very good. There are some like or like for learning bugs, for like there are some like application which is having all the bugs, LFI and every other bugs and all. So you can learn from that also. So these are the things which you need to like you can use for learning. There are some hackerman report you can like start like practicing from there. Like you can read 5 hackerman report daily, so that you can learn things from there, how the hunters are reporting things. You can also see some blogs on Medium on a particular vulnerability, how things are working. There are many blogs available, so you can just see. You can if for you want to learn recon, then there are some Harsh Bothra talk and Namsek. You know about the recon Sunday, so you can see that also. He has been posting like he's just like every hunters who's famous, who experience are coming there and just like just giving the hint like how they are doing recon. So it's a very best thing for you. So you can do these all things, and I think that's all enough for like this talk. So if you have any like any problem, any doubt regarding the stock or regarding bug bounty, you can contact me on my handles. All are given here. I will be posting all the slides on my LinkedIn and Twitter, or you can just see all the links here. So thank you. If you have any question, please ask. I will be happy to give the answers.
Sir, we have questions from the chat box.
Yes.
If you can read them.
Okay, wait. I need to. Okay. Wait. Okay, I think. Okay, so the first one is what to do when I found some critical bug, but it is out of scope, and what should I do? See, like for example, in if you have found RC, okay, and then like you are saying like okay, it's out of scope, like then don't report it, like because the company don't want you to report that thing. So if you are finding also, then just keep it with you, like okay, you have learned things from that, so it's good. But like don't, if you are reporting, or what you can do, you can just mail the company like okay, you have found this vulnerability and it's out of scope, but because the impact is very good, so if they can like accept this vulnerability, it depends upon the company to company. Okay, if the company is like if they want to like if they want that the applications be secure, then they will accept that, no problem. But in most of the cases, the bug which are very impactful, it is not out of scope. Like if you are testing for SQL injection and all like that, then it's not out of scope. But in some cases, like if you are testing on bug crowd and a particular bug is been like everyone is searching for that particular bug. Let's say if you are finding SQLI in a particular parameter, and everyone is just finding that bug and reporting, then they will be giving it as an out of scope bug. So in that case, okay, like I think that's all your question is about. And now you have, let's say we got some 20 to 30 domains for one domain that is in scope. Should we go and test for bugs on all the subdomains, or should we prioritize some subdomain, prioritize, then how to do that? See, if we are like having a scope which is having 22 to 30, like you have the scope is very big, start testing from the first one to the last one. Don't skip anyone. Like we can't prioritize anyone. Start from the first one, or like you can make any pattern. Okay, it depend upon you. Test every parameter, every like scope URL which is given on the in scope list. Okay, because if you are like missing out anything, then of course any other hunter will be coming and he will be finding some flaws in that. So try to like test everything which is given in scope item. Don't leave anyone. And when you are getting any like domain and any URL and all, then try to get some more endpoint out of it. Like you can, for that there are some tools also like the Arjun, Gao and Vivek URL. So you can find some more endpoint from that and then start testing. Don't prioritize it like that. Okay, you need to test everything. Don't skip anything in a program. Take your time. Take like 2 weeks, 1 month. Test every functionality. Don't skip it. Okay, I think that's all.
Abhisar, these are it. Okay, so yes, sure. Thank you, sir, for explaining so well and taking time to clear all the doubts. This wholesome experience of learning and participating is a very unique one, breaking the monotony from our regular schedules, and we are thankful for that. I would request everyone to attempt the giveaway questions. The exciting prizes for this slot will be 3 pair of stickers. I again thank you, Tushar sir, for joining here, taking out time from a busy schedule and conducting this session. Thank you so much for being here.
I'll be introducing you, then you may. Welcome back, everyone. 3 sessions done and more to go. But the enthusiasm with which we are learning is worth appreciation. So pat your shoulder and pull up your socks for the upcoming slot. Also, do not forget to subscribe to the BSides Noida YouTube channel and share this video to as many as possible. Now, I'm delighted to introduce our next guest for today, Mr. Hritik Vijay. He is an independent security researcher and a curious developer. The topic he has chosen for today is NAT not intact.
Hi, Vandana. Thank you for the warm welcome. And hi, BSides, everyone attending the session. You already know that topic for today is not intact. So without further ado, let us begin into the session. This is the most common slide that always precedes our presentations, who am I? And I don't have a lot to say. This is the toughest slide for me. I'm an independent security researcher, independent as in I don't really have a job right now. And I am a Python developer, and I contribute in open source. Not a lot I can disclose, or not a lot I have anyway to disclose. So before checking the first talking about what's not intact, let's see why NAT, what's it, and what's not intact, what's the problem if you are not familiar with NAT. So it starts with the IPv4 capacity, like the IP addresses you see, 192.245.1.3. These are IP addresses separated by 3 dots and 4 numbers. There could be maximum of around 4.3 billion of them, and that might sound enough to you, but Wi-Fi networks alone constitute 11 billion in our world. You can check this out, statistics on wiggle.net. It's an awesome website. You should certainly check that out. But that's just the Wi-Fi networks. Internet connected devices. Every Wi-Fi network has like 5 or 6 devices, and it might be connected to internet. And there are devices that are not Wi-Fi networks, still connected to internet by Ethernet and other means. So you have a lot more devices that want to be able to communicate over the internet. But IP addresses are limited to 4.3 billion. What do we do? IP address exhaustion. There is no way to accommodate everyone here in these limited span of IP addresses. Then comes NAT. This is our savior. What does NAT do? What's it? Well, no one's interested in the full form. It simply maps internal IP address to one external IP address. Now, if you see that there are not enough IP address, so if we take 10 devices and map them into one IP address and then launch it to the outside world is going to just see one single IP address. As simple as that. And behind that, you have 10 different devices, all having different local IP addresses. So you might consider your home router as an example. You have a mobile phone, you have a computer, all of them, whenever you go to what'smyip.com or a similar site, you see a single public IP. And that's the reason behind it. Well, it's also the reason behind, my fellow hackers, why your reverse TCP connection never works outside your LAN network. So you might have used a Metapredator or Netcat to initiate a reverse connection to your computer, but you don't have an IP address directly pointing to your computer. You have an IP address provided by your ISP, and you can use that, but that doesn't point to your computer. NAT doesn't work in the reverse direction independently. If you initiate a connection, it comes back to you. That's totally okay. NAT maps the packets correct way. But if there's a connection coming to the NAT device, it won't automatically get broadcasted to all the devices. And why all your hacking videos are a total mess when they are not on local networks? This is one of the reasons. Well, basically, it's this. You are a host, and you have a packet. So you have a computer, and that initiates a packet, starts a GET request or whatever. and it sends to your router, which is a NAT device as well. And router takes that packet and sees, oh, this is the packet. Now I made this. It's my packet. And now with the IP address of router, it goes forward into the whatever network is over there in the outside world. So this is how NAT works. Well, breaching NAT. So this is my entire point of this presentation. We are going to breach the NAT. Well, the simplest approach is to use NGROK. I am sure you all are familiar, and most of the web developers are familiar, if not all. It's used to get the local websites up and running on internet without even having a hosting plan or anything. It kind of bypasses NAT in a way. So you should have a look if you haven't. Else, you can look at BEF. It's a browser exploitation framework. Well, one thing that's always connected to the internet is your browser, right? So if you can exploit that browser, you can find a vulnerability in that browser. You can totally have access to the internal network of that victim, or even more than that, who knows. And I think that's it. My talk's over. Just kidding. These are nice things, but these are not something that constitutes my talk. Have a look at these. You will enjoy these tools, but the talk is going to be something else. Well, DNS, it's a very simple technology. In the easiest terms, it maps your domain name to an IP address. Very similar to how you have we used to have phone directories, and now we have a contact list in our mobile phones. So we find out the name of our friend, and then we hit enter. The name doesn't travel to the mobile phone carrier provider. What travels is the phone number, right? Name has no relevance over there. Similar with domain names. If you type in google.com or bsidesnoida.in for that matter, that name has a little relevance after a while in the network channel. What is relevant is the IP address behind that name. And then all the communication move forward with that IP address. Now, let's see that in action. If you're on a Linux, and if you're not, you should be, you can use a utility called dig. It's a very nice tool. Just fire dig and then space and write the whatever domain name you wish to find the IP address of. For example, BSides Noida.in. And then you will be able to find out the IP address behind that domain name. So it's a very simple utility. And how DNS works is totally outside of this presentation, because it's simple but complicated. And do give this command a try. You'll see that BSides Noida contains 2 IP addresses. What happens after this is none of our concern, but this is it. Moving further, we have one last part of our puzzle in this in this talk. Here, same origin policy. If you have worked with web browsers, or if you are developing a website, you might have heard of CORS. And it is required for a website to be able to access another website's data. So this is a requirement in a way that a website like bsidesnoida.in cannot simply fetch the twitter.com address and simply get whatever information you have there on your feed. It's just not possible. And to enforce this structure, we have something called same origin policy. Well, someone wants to just port forward through NAT. Actually, that's not possible. Why? We'll talk in a bit. So you have CORS. And you know what CORS is. But these constitutes all the puzzles of our current presentation. This is all the prerequisite knowledge that you need to have to carry on with this talk. So let's see how can we exploit this, and we are going to exploit same origin policy itself. There comes a question: what if bsidesnoida.in points to a real web server, which it is right now? There is no doubt with that. So this simply points to a real web server. And we have two really funky technologies at hand, that is DNS and CORS, right? But what happens when, after opening the page, it changes your current DNS and start pointing to 192.168.1.1, or maybe any other local IP address, anything at all, nothing that was similar to BSides Noida's IP address, anything different at all. But it is certainly totally possible, and it could happen. So what happens when we do something like this? We, in a way, we bypass CORS, right? Because you have the same domain name, BSidesNoida.in, but the identity, the entity behind the domain name, the IP address behind the domain name is totally different. So this way we might be bypassing the CORS policy. So at this point, this is a very this is a very crucial point, and Neeraj wants to say that no hacking our server. We are not hacking BSides Noida right now, but are you along with me as of now? Because by now we have constituted everything that was important to this talk, and if you are with me, then let me know in the comment section, or whatever means you have over there, because these two policies are very important, DNS and CORS. And this is our attack scenario. So how are we going to carry on with this attack? Well, it's something that I just told you. It's BSides Noida, and it right now points to these domain names. And after a while, user browses your website and does a little bit of experimentation. On the website, they are just hanging around. Maybe it's like a social media or something like that. They just have to be on that site. After a while, it changes its IP address to a local IP address. This is our entire attack vector, which means browsers have no problem for the website to allow access to 192.168.1.1. And your entire internal network is this way exposed to the outside world. Now, Ravi Jain has asked a question in the chat, like how would it change the DNS too? So here's the thing. BSidesNoida.in in this context is the attacker's website. So let's separate who is the attacker and who is the victim. The victim is the person opening, let's say, example.com. I don't want to just carry on saying BSides Noida is an attacker. So let's say victim is there who is opening a website called attacker.com. And they are browsing the attacker website and they're having fun. After a while, attacker.com is controlled by the attacker, right? So they can simply change the DNS from their DNS panel. There is no big issue from there. They have the entire control in the DNS panel. Maybe it's any DNS service provider. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to take names, but they can simply change the IP address from there. And you'll see that you'd say that it is a manual task, but of course it can be automated. Every DNS entries could be formed in an API format, and you could strike that API to change the DNS entry. And of course, this could be automated totally. But right now, we are going to move forward with a little bit of manual interaction. Now let's talk about DNS rebinding. And I see Piyush has already mentioned that there is something like DNS rebinding. So I literally just showed you what's DNS rebinding. So let's not talk about it again. And this is our talk. This is the essence of our talk, where we'll be showing DNS rebinding. So are you with me now? Because I think I maybe have moved too fast. I'm not sure. It took a lot less time than I expected. But if you're with me right now, just let me know. Because after this, I have something exciting for you. Okay, let me have a look at the chat real quick. Okay. No questions as of now. And moving forward. Live demo. Yes, this could have some problems, but bear with me. I hope this works because live things not really work all the time. Let's take some
Okay, sir,
rest.
take your time.
Sorry, Vanna?
It's okay, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So let's take some rest. I mean, literally, let's take some rest. Take some rest. Well, this is the website with my very poor development skills I have created. Just kidding, I created it in very less time. I have awesome development skills. So this is the site, and maybe the user on this site is browsing these videos over here. They are moving forward with watching these videos, and they're just spending time on this site. Nothing fancy to see here. On the left, this is the attacker's screen. So let me do one thing. I'll just log out from there and zoom in. So you can see I'm SSHing into a server. Now this server is attacker's server over here. And something on the left has no relation whatsoever on the right. So on the right, this entire thing is the client. But on the left, this entire thing is the server. Now let's see how what we are going to change now. First of all, the attacker goes ahead and into this. This is a very simple tool that I have created. It's called DNS rewinding tool, and I'll share the source code and maybe go through the tool as well a little bit. But let's see how this works and in action right now. So first of all, because it's a Python tool, I'll simply activate the virtual environment. And nothing fancy at all. Python 3 and shell.py. So we have a shell on attacker server. It's waiting for the client. And what's the client's doing? Nothing. They're just browsing this website. Nothing fancy over here. Now moving forward to the domain name panel. This is the panel that attacker has control over. Now see, here I am doing it manually, but it is totally possible that this entire operation could be automated when the user clicks on the website link. So in a way, this is a totally no interaction attack kind of thing. Users just have to go over to this website and then simply browse the site. And meanwhile, this shell over here is waiting for the connection from the user after the DNS rewinding takes place. Now, as I said, that DNS is a very not so simple protocol. So it takes a while for the DNS to propagate. But if you do it correctly, you might get lucky. It might take sooner. It might get a little while. It might take a little while. So the main important thing is that the user gets engaged on this website. They are watching the videos or doing something. Now, while DNS is propagating in the background, let's have a look what I have done in the other window. So these are the DNS records, and you can ignore all the records except this one. This is the checksum.rest, right? And this is my website address. It used to have this IP address, which is the correct legit IP address. But after the user opened the site, I changed it to a local IP address, which is 192.168.1.1. And then over here, what is happening on the user side, if I simply open this this console, here you can see lots of logs happening over here. What's happening here, I'm just showing these logs to show you that something is taking place in the background. So what's happening is, let's say that it, yeah, here you can see it says attempt failed. And then after a while, it says like there are lots of errors and something is happening, and DNS takes a little bit of time for rewind to take place. So we are going to have to wait a bit. Meanwhile, while we are waiting, are there any questions in the chat? We can do away with these questions right now.
No, sir.
Because-
Questions are not there.
Okay.
You have already resolved most of them.
Okay, my fault then. I should have waited for this moment. Anyways, this is the time where it gets a little bit awkward because you have to wait, and sometimes it takes a while. Well, sometimes it takes a few seconds. Sometimes it takes more than that. Let's just try to save it over here again. Maybe I didn't save it properly. And let's wait. Then we get the connection in the browser. This is really bad. Okay, because of lots of failed attempts, it's retrying slowly now. Still failing. Oh, this sucks. Okay. Shall we retry this procedure? Maybe I should. I'm not sure. Um, okay, this tool automatically lowers the retry time. It's not meant for instant. Oh, there we go. Here you can see we have uploaded, navigated, and whatever injected. So yes, because DNS rebinding time totally depends on how long the DNS propagation takes. So you want to make sure that the user is on this website, they're interacting with this site, and they're doing something on this website. Well, right now it took around, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And when I was demoing on my user end, it took me 50 seconds, 60 seconds. So it really depends how the DNS is behaving at that time. So now we got a client that is connected. So, and we got a JavaScript shell. What can we do with the shell? Well, of course, it's a JavaScript shell. I can alert hi. This is the most common thing. And we get an alert hi. Wow, that's it, right? No. We already had access to this website. We already could have alerted whatever we wanted. This is not the point at all. The point is that currently this site points to the internal IP address of the user. So what we can do is this comes with a built-in function that I have written. It's called navigate. You can navigate to whatever page you like. So let's navigate to a page called / that will be 192.168.1.1. And then I need to provide what request I want. So this is a very dummy function. I have get request to the homepage. Now I could have post request to whatever page I want. So basically we could take this navigate function and make it into a proxy so that attacker would have a total access like they are inside the user's computer. They will have access like that. They will have inside the user's browser session at that time. So after I hit enter, nothing really pops up here because function went ahead. If you want to see, I can just go ahead to the user section and show the console. It says navigating to this, and then it uploads to the server, and then it says injected. These are just logs. These are not necessary at all. I'm just showing you to explain what's happening. And now we should have something at the server. So let me just quickly open one more window here, and I'll SSH to my server once again. And this time I'll go to the DNS rebind directory, which was the directory I launched my this shell from. And then we have some files in the logs directory. Now this creates some files like these, sorry. And these are the files that store the data that we just fetched. So let's try to open this one. Well, it is not required that we'll hit the correct file always. It's really a demo thing, so file names are kind of random, you can say. But you can totally convert it into a live proxy that you would be able to access from the attacker's end. So here I can simply use the elinks browser and use logcat.log and then try to open. Okay, it's the same one. Let's try a different one. Okay. The file name is, the sizes are same. So these could be the same one. Let's try this one. It has a different size. And rewinding took place. And the timestamps here are kind of messed up because it's I experimented with the server with the timestamps. So sorry for that. Plus it's a remote AWS instance. Okay, it's also the same. Let's try a different one. Oh. Okay, we have this one. Nope. Let's try to inject it again. Probably we didn't get it at the first time. And something should have happened over here. And over here we have some files. Let's try a file with different size. Let's try this one. Here. So on the attacker side, you can see this is GPU and home gateway, right? So this is the router's homepage. Usually, any attacker would never be able to access your router's homepage. They would never be able to access anything on your local NAT network. It could be, it is router's homepage because it's 192.168.1.1. It could very well have been a different IP address to a different device on the router side. It could have been a Raspberry Pi or maybe whatnot. And we have the username password fields over here. This doesn't look very good because it's a command line. It's like a command line browser. So it looks like this. But if I go ahead and from the attacker's point, this is the attacker's browser. If I simply go to the URL here, and okay, it's not right. The same URL here that we just fetched, we can see it in all the CSS and how it looks from the user side. So this is GPON Home Gateway. This is accessible at this website that is from the attacker's endpoint. And this was hosted in the user's home. And this is something that, that's totally crazy. So you would expect that while you are browsing a website, while you are having some fun on that website would never be able to access your router's login page. That website would never be able to access anything on your home network. But guess what? NAT is not a firewall. NAT is something meant to get away with the IP exhaustion issue. It's not a firewall at all. Anyone can access anything, even if you are behind. Well, I'm really happy that the live demo worked properly because I had no idea if it would work. Let's go ahead and talk to a few things about DNS over here. Now, why did it take a lot of time for me to for the DNS to propagate? I mean, it changed to 65 dot whatever server's IP to 192.168, but it took like 5 minutes here for the DNS to propagate. Why? Because the TTL, it's called time to live. It's different than the TTL that's in the TCP packets. It's the DNS TTL. It denotes the time in seconds, how much time is there until this DNS cache will be invalidated at the whatever software is caching the DNS. It could be a browser, it could be whatever router, whatever there is. So this is the TTL, and the Cloudflare provides me 2 minute, 5 minute, and these are really useless for me because waiting 2 minutes or 5 minutes is useless. But if I had my own DNS server, I'm using Cloudflare right now, but you could totally host your own DNS server by let's bind DNS server. So let's talk about hosting your own DNS server a little bit. So you could host your own DNS server instead of Cloudflare. And while you are configuring your website, Cloudflare asks you to set the name servers to these addresses. You will be setting name servers to your own DNS. And you can install this bind software to, totally get away with this Cloudflare. You won't have Cloudflare here. You will have bind installed on attacker's computer locally. So there won't be any manual work because the attacker would simply ask the bind server to, change the DNS, lower the TTL time, and reload. Simple as that. So time to live will be very short, and users' browser window will be hijacked as soon as possible, right? And regarding DNS, these are the points. And for the source code, maybe we could dig deep into the source code, how this shell works over here, if we have enough time. But right now, let's move forward with the presentation. Impact and protection. So what could be impact of this? We are just accessing users' internal network. Well, to be honest, it's not just users' internal network. We have a lot of services exposed without an username or password, without authentication at all in the internal network. So there could be anything that you could access. For an example, you know what? If you have something bizarre example in your head, feel free to drop that in chat. Maybe we could build upon that and make a tool for that explicitly as well. But on the top of my head, I can think that if user can access your router's homepage, well, most of us don't really change the admin passwords. It's usually admin or admin password. They could simply log in if that's the case, because that's the local network. Then they can move forward and find out your MAC address. Well, what can they do with the MAC address? Remember, I told you about a site called wiggle.net. It's a really awesome site. What it does, it maps MAC addresses on the map. So if you have a single MAC address that you have no idea of where it is located, you can go over here and enter it in this field, and then you can search, and it will show you at which position on the map that MAC address was last seen or was last recorded in Wiggle. So you could try this totally. You could totally try this out, and then you can pinpoint where your user came from. Well, that's a really bad thing to happen, but that's just stealing the MAC address. It's not a big thing. Next, what could you do? Well, you can move forward, and then you have access to router's admin panel, right? You could very well change the entire firmware of their router. You could install something called DDRWT, DDWRT, sorry. You can DDWRT, and then it's a totally custom operating system for your router, and they will be able to make a persistent connection from your router. So even after the user is outside your website or outside anywhere, the attacker would be able to access your site, the user's internal network. Plus, there are endless possibilities here. I can't even think of what bizarre things an attacker can do once they are inside your local network. Well, the protection, well, of course, firewalls. Because I already told you NAT is not a firewall. It's not something to protect you. It's simply something to solve a problem. So install a firewall that could disallow domain names to change to a local IP address. Well, what is an example of that firewall? We have a NoScript plugin in Firefox. It claims that it would be able to do what I just said. If some DNS starts to pointing to a local address, it will simply stop it. But not most of us do that, right? Now, why did I talk about all of this, about bypassing NAT and everything like this? I mean, is this even relevant? Will this be relevant after a while? Well, we have been using NAT for a long time. And it is relevant because the attacker can simply access your internal network. Second point, IPv6 is coming. And slowly it will replace NATed connections. And every device will have an IPv6 network. And then by default, your internet is exposed to the outside world unless you have a firewall rule set up. And this is mostly it for my presentation. I think we ended on time. Thank you very much. If you want to look at the DNS rebind toolkit that I wrote, and beware, this is a very, very immature tool. I wrote it in, I don't know, 1 day or 2 days, or maybe less than that. And the formatting is very bad. So you could have a look at that tool and let me know if there could be any improvements. You could send me pull requests. It's totally open to it. No problems at all. And I see we have some questions in the chat, right? So let me just move
Yes,
forward
sir,
with these
there are
questions.
questions.
Okay. And Okay, let me start from the top. Here, Ishika Shah says, does the attacker change the IP address manual or is it automated? Well, as I already told you, if you move forward, I'm sure that Cloudflare also provides you an API using which you could simply do whatever I did manual and make it automated. And if you want to take it one step further, you can eliminate Cloudflare totally. You can install a bind name server, a DNS server, and then you would be able to automate the entire process without using any API, without using anything external. It would be entirely attacker-based attack. And then we have, can hackers steal local storage data? Like if any access token is stored there. Well, Abhinav, the point is, in our attack, the user was on this website, right? Techsum.rest. And we bypassed the same origin policy. This is the policy that disallows the browsers to access for the websites to access data from a different website. Now, in local storage, if I had something stored on like this domain by default, well, I will already have access to it. There is nothing to bypass. If it's on a different domain name, then I don't think you can bypass it. You can access it anyway at all, because there are something called host header protection as well in different domain name, different websites, but these things are not present in the local network. So in most likelihood, no, you cannot do that. And someone said this is a DNS rebinding. And yes, right, it is DNS rebinding. This was the entire point of the talk. The name of this attack is DNS rebinding. And I have felt that it is a kind of an overlooked attack. But at the same time, it is a zero-click attack, if you say. The user has to, well, not zero-click, one-click attack. User has to click on one URL that you send them, that is this website. And they just have to be on that website. They don't really have to browse it. They could browse it, but they just have to be on that site. And after that, everything is done at the attacker's end. And we have shortcoming of maths. And I guess these were the questions that I had in chat. Thank you very much for having me. So, Vandana, I think you can take over now.
Yes, sir. Okay, so thank you, sir, for clearing the topic in such a depth. I sincerely appreciate your gracious presence, and the whole team is thankful for that. Now it is time for the giveaway question. I request everyone to open the Google form link in the chat box and attempt the questions. Top 3 people will be getting 3 pair of stickers from this lot. So thank you again, sir, for being a part of this session, this conference, and we hope to see you next year soon.
Okay,
and hopefully
sure.
it is offline and not in this online format.
I wish I will be there with some different attack next time. And right now, I think there is something on the chat. It says, as we have the JS shell can be escalated like we do with other JS-based attacks. It's Harmanjot. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Please go ahead and have a look at this URL that I have provided over here. And you can explore whatever you want inside this shell, and you can have a look how this JS shell works at the attacker's end. That is it, I think.
I think this is it. So
okay.
Please disconnect. Welcome back, everyone. Due to some urgency, our final guest, Mr. Mr. Avinash Jain, is unable to connect with us. So we have decided to wrap up the session early. Now that we are heading towards the end of session 2021, BSides Noida conference, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude towards the speakers, our sponsors, Synactive, the viewers, and the whole team for making it a successful event. I also thank the team for considering me eligible enough to be a part of the process and adding some value to the whole event. I would also like to thank everyone who supported this event by any means. Someone has rightly said, and I quote, if you continue to think the way you've always thought, you'll continue to get what you've always got. I unquote. On that note, I call it a wrap. Thank you all and wish you a very happy Independence Day.